gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm frozen, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you when I'm frozen, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
Yo, welcome to The Fix. It's myself, Infinite Umbra. I'm joined by my brother, Daniel McG.
Hello.
And tonight is going to be a quick one. We're not going to go too crazy long tonight. One, because my ass was up on Starfield all day and, and didn't get enough rest. And I have work later, so I have to take care of a few things around here. And then I'll be getting back on Starfield at work with my ROG ally. You all should feel jealous.
Wasn't really a ton of news this week, so there's not really a whole hell of a lot to talk about.
That is true. That is true. So what we're going to do tonight, everybody, is we're going to talk about, our journey in Starfield, like what we've experienced. And I want to kind of keep it specific to a one main point, though. And that is us talking. Ow, never had that happen.
You gotta love it. Computers, man. They'll always be a pain when
that's true.
When you don't want it.
It literally, I'm like, wait a minute. If this wasn't a sign that we shouldn't have went live tonight, maybe. Okay, it's still refreshing on my end. It's very weird. And I still see everybody in the chat, so it's still moving.
Yeah, people are still chit-chatting.
Ouch.
And it's live also.
Yeah, Fark says he can hear you.
Okay, there we go.
You're back. Okay, cool.
What the hell, OBS? All right. I don't know where we would cut off at, guys. I apologize.
Just start with Silent Cypher again.
Yeah, we're going to keep it to a relatively short discussion tonight. And I was introducing Silent Cypher. Let me know if you guys can hear Silent Cypher, because OBS is acting up right now. I don't know what happened. It literally just closed on us. Silent Cypher, brother, from Xbox International. Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys so much for having me, Daniel and Infinite. Thanks for letting me come hang out and pull some shenanigans and, do some IT tech support and all sorts of fun stuff in the background. Chat, can you hear me?
Yes. Let him know. Now, Silent, by the way, he sometimes tries to have a deep voice off with me, and I just don't allow it, because it's only enough room for one cool voice here on this podcast, and that's me. So, I just.
Oh, hey, only one cool voice. Wait, what are you trying to say?
Oh, wait. I forgot about.
What do you mean I'm?
All right,
what do you
that's
mean
fine. I
I'm
see how it is.
trying?
Oh,
What do you mean I'm trying?
is this
Umbra?
an official challenge? I
don't know if I can do an official challenge today. I actually am recovering from a head cold, so I'm.
Y'all hear
My
that?
apologies if I'm a little nasally.
Getting them Johns.
Sounds like excuses to me.
It sounds like excuses.
World premiere excuses. Okay, so they say they can hear silent. They can hear you, so
Sweet.
that's
Okay,
perfect. You know, it's such a weird thing. OBS and Discord has been odd. Like Discord literally removed everyone I had set up already as speakers and such as
No.
from permissions. Don't ask me why it did that, but it did. So now I have to manually do that. And I've been Starfielded out. I'm saying Starfielded, as you know, as I hadn't had a chance to really set up things as much as I should have been doing. So a lot of this is on me. And my apologies, everybody. But yeah, folks, we have Silent Cypher and C Money with us. C Money stepped away for a second, if you all didn't hear me say that before. So we're going to get through do a news roundup, and then we'll talk about the main topic and try to get out of here because we all can't stay too late, unfortunately, today. But we do have something coming up in the future for you guys. I want to really have us have a round table, full discussion, a review discussion of Starfield and give our full takes, our likes and our dislikes. And I've got a bunch right now. Most of them are shining likes. I can tell you that right now because as I'm standing here, I would say this game is my game of the year. But enough of that. Danny, what do we have in the news roundup?
Yes, sir. So we're starting with kind of a goofy one.
Gorsh.
But it's I did actually just finish Kingdom Hearts also.
Did
So-
you? Oh yeah, that's right. You were
I
playing
did. I
that.
just replayed Kingdom Hearts. I beat
I'm
Sephiroth
back.
for the first time. This is unrelated, but I beat Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time. I was really proud of it. That boss fight's hard as hell.
Can you imagine Goofy trying to beat Sephiroth? I'm going
Oh
to
my
take
God.
you down.
He's not even allowed
Oh,
in
that
the
sounded
fight. Like
just
he's
like
not even
him.
allowed in the room. It's a 1v1.
I thought,
So we got Goofy and Trump in the same place.
Maybe Trump, baby. I'm saying.
listen, folks.
It's funny how close they are related, right? We got Goofy, Trump, Trump to
Goofy's-
Goofy ass. So I think it all
Goofy's
works.
like,
It's really
Goofy's
just a
like-
Trump to Goofy pipeline, the whole Kingdom Hearts
Yeah,
series.
it doesn't go the other way. It just goes
No.
one way.
But no, the first story I got here is the Baldur's Gate 3 had a bug that made all of your companions super horny. This was something that I actually saw people kind of like half complaining about and half joking about, where apparently all your companions within like a couple minutes of talking to them are like, you want to do a bear sex real fast?
you want to do a bear sex real fast.
And it turns out that was because of a bug that just like basically it added the wrong amount of like affection points every time you complimented them or whatever it is. And so it was basically just like, your eyes look pretty today. Want to bang? And like that was just the whole conversation. And apparently it has been fixed, which for some people will be unfortunate, and for other people will be like, okay, cool, thanks.
That sounds hilarious. You know, speaking of that, did anybody find it crazy that I know it's only got so many reviews, but did any of you find it a little crazy that the game is scored now higher than the PC, even though it's got issues that the PC doesn't have?
This is bullshit, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
The PlayStation 5 version has so many issues, and it manages to score higher. There's no more proof in the world for you. I mean, I don't know what else has to
That's all it
happen.
takes.
It's almost like there's a bias or
I
something.
mean,
a little bit.
You know?
On an
Weird.
somewhat unrelated note, did you guys see one of the first mods for Starfield was to switch the Xbox intro for a PlayStation one?
Sony
I
intro,
saw
yeah.
that.
Yep.
saw
Sony intro, Sony
And everyone
controls.
was like, this will make the review score higher. Man,
Oh my god. They should resubmit it. Microsoft should
They
put
should
the
just
mod on
resubmit it.
there. Resubmit it for review.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know,
That's hilarious.
this brings up one interesting thing I thought about over the other day. I saw something, and I'm sure you all may have seen it as well, where it talked about Rotten Tomatoes had been exposed for having paid reviews.
Mhm.
Did you all see that?
I didn't see
I
that
did not.
specifically, but I knew, and this is going to sound like fanboy stuff, but I knew that Sony have in the past paid for reviews on the movie side, which is like, if the shoe fits. So I'm not surprised.
So that's the thing that interests me, because we often have this talk where people will try to shoo off any criticism of critics when we say, we think that's unfair, we don't like this. Well, that's just their opinion. I don't believe some of these things are opinion. I think some of these things are agenda laden. And what would you bet that this is not just solely tied to the movie industry where they're paid to say something a certain way or do something a certain way?
No, yeah, I mean, look, if you shoplift from the Walmart, you're going to shoplift from the Target too. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same situation.
Right.
It's just that they happen to get caught in the film sector before they got caught in gaming. So I think it probably does happen to some extent. Maybe not directly. Like, they're probably not giving people money. Like, they're not handing, I don't know, Dan Stapleton or whatever, like $100 to be like, hey, or whatever. But they're probably, they're getting to them in other ways with like, hey, if you review our stuff bad, then you're going to lose access, or like, we won't give you your codes early, or we won't give you, interviews with the people or stuff like that. Like, I think there's other ways that they're getting to them on the game side that maybe people don't really think about. I think that does exist to some extent, for sure.
I feel like PlayStation doesn't have to do that.
No, they don't.
I feel like their fan base is more than willing to just do it for them. Like, they don't gotta pay. They don't gotta pay.
Yeah.
Dan's not making extra. He's not getting anything from it besides his own satisfaction of burning Microsoft for not releasing the game that he wanted to have on his precious little PlayStation.
Dan will pay out of his own pocket to have that luxury. Because I'm
getting really confused, because every time you say Dan for a second, I think you're talking about me.
Oh, sorry. Stapleton. We'll just call him Stapleton.
It's not our fault, Dan, that you share the name.
I didn't mean it.
Not the Dan of the McGee's, but
good Dan and bad Dan. No, so Stapleton, like we already know, because he went out of his way and he was like, "Yo, I got this. I'm doing this review," which he didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And then right after he was done with it, he proceeded to throw a tweet out, which I think he since deleted, that said, "Now that I'm done dealing with Starfield, I can go back to playing things I want to play." Essentially was the long and short of it.
Yeah, there were a lot of things about that whole situation that really annoy me. Because, like, at first I was willing to be like, maybe he just didn't like the game. That's fine. And maybe that is the case. Maybe literally he just didn't like it. But there's a lot of stuff that's come out, like, surrounding it that I think is really, I don't know if it's like corrupt or what, but it's definitely like in bad taste. Like when they were put out the tweet where it's like, no, we don't hate Xbox. We give Forza Horizon like a really good grade. Or when they're like, 7 is actually a good score, when the guy who gave it a 7 also wrote an article a couple months back, were explaining how realistically a 7 is the lowest score that they give most games that they review. Yeah, and it's like,
or when
cool,
they did
dude.
an emergency Twitter live where all of his other coworkers came in and basically tried to get his back and protect him and be like, no, he's not doing this out of spite. Yeah,
there's definitely some stuff going on there that is just like, guys, it's really okay to just have a bad take and then just be like, dude, it was a bad take, whatever, we're moving on.
Yeah, like if
you don't even have to change the score. I don't care.
Such is.
Yeah. But just let it lie, dude. You don't need to. I do think it's also really funny that they're putting out content where it's like, oh, I like Starfield is surprisingly shallow, or like Starfield is not a game for explorers, or like stuff like that. But then also they've got like half a dozen or more videos where it's like, here's everything you need to know when you're playing Starfield. And it's like, why are you suggesting we play it? You keep saying it's not good. Like, what do you want? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, he tried to explain that.
Good enough for you to make content about. Get that ad rev on. But,
it's just so stupid. Like they do everything they can to try to make themselves look good, right? And it's like, come on, man. Like, explaining that a 7 means good. That's some. Come on.
That's when I knew. That's when I knew it was nonsense when he said that. Well, a 7 is good.
That way.
Yeah,
There's
come
other
on, man.
publications where I would accept that from. Like there are publications that use the full scale, and so for them, a 7 is actually like it's good, but it's a low good. But IGN very specifically, like Dan Stapleton, the guy who gave Starfield a 7, literally wrote an article called "Another 7 IGN: Why So Many Games Score 7 and Above," right?
Yeah.
Where he basically lays out, he's like, every game that we review, like if we're gonna review it, it's gonna get at least a 7 because we don't have time to review games that we think are going to do worse than that. And so literally what he's saying is like a 7 is the lowest score we're gonna give, and once you've said that, a 7 means bad.
Wow.
Like it doesn't mean good anymore. It means bad.
And I go back to some of his other reviews, and I know it's a thing that fans will do, and fanboys alike, of course, and where we will say, "Oh, well, look at you gave this that," but I'm sorry, you gave Duke Nukem Forever an 8.
Nukem Forever.
I'm not letting that go. You gave that an 8, and you gave this a 7, and yet your gut. And this is the problem I have really. If you listen to the man talk, he is He dropped so many superlatives on this game in that space that I was confused. I'm like, is this the same guy that wrote the review?
Yeah.
Because you're talking so positively about it. How did you land at a 7 and you're on your second playthrough?
This game is a lot of fun. I really enjoy the environment.
7 out of 10. Exactly. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It means good, guys. Don't you get it? It means good. Right?
Like, you know what I
7
respect the hell out of is Greg Miller and all of this. He when they did their first review, he was like, I haven't really played a ton of it. I don't want to give it a score right now. I'm not feeling it a ton. And then in the next couple of days, he's like, actually, I've beaten it 5 times and I love it. Like he continued playing it, and he was willing to like explain, hey, at the time I wasn't feeling super great about it, but now I am, and here's why. And he has like done all this content about it. Like he's really transparent. He talks about like exactly what he means, and I really respect that. And I wish that IGN was more like that.
Yeah, I actually did respect the way he did that. I will say a lot of people give Greg a lot of slack, or flack, should I say? But I think that I think that his way of approach of that it made the most logical sense considering this type of game this is, and I think that Starfield itself, the way Bethesda make their games, make it inherently tough to properly judge it, right? But at the same time, that's why it's so problematic when I see people that are counted as a review that have gone on record saying they've only played 5 hours. There's no way that should be counted right there.
I don't understand how that. Okay, first of all, I don't understand what the metric for like how you get accepted to like put your score on Metacritic works, because a lot of these sites that I'm looking at is like, oh, it's like 2 guys who just review whatever games they happen to play and for 2 seconds, and then they just put a review out, and somehow that gets on Metacritic, and it's like, why is this allowed? Also, how does this weighting work? Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Exactly, and then you have the situation. Even with Greg Miller, how he at first he said he's like a 3 out of 5, which I was like,
I think he was in that ballpark.
And then he was like, I'm leaning toward a 4, and he said, I don't want to give a score to this just yet, which I appreciated, like you said, because he said, I'm going to give this more time. I'm going to lean into it and really see how I feel. The next few days, like you said, all you saw was him going crazy with, oh shits, and all these things. Like he was excited, like. This is the thing that this game absolutely does to you. So when I saw him writing that, I'm like, yeah, I get it. This is what I'm feeling. And that made sense to me. And now I believe he's more at the 4 out of 5 range. I'm pretty sure of that. I don't think I hadn't heard this.
I think he's a 5 out of 5 range, and he just won't say it.
I think you're right. I think you're right, because they've had like
play a game that many times, and you think that shit is a 4 or a 3,
and
right?
And you're absolutely right. And that's the thing that's like they're like, I'm on my 3rd or 5th playthrough. I think Paul Tassi had it correct to begin with. He said it's a 9.5. I think that was just what it was, and it didn't take him to kind of think over it more than what he did, because he put in the hours needed to get to that point. Greg Miller, like you said, I think was kind on the fence, like, should I be giving it this? And fighting with himself. And that's another issue I had with Dan Stapleton, because in that space he pointed out, well, I gave it an 8 originally, but after I looked at my review, I landed at a 7. It's like, are you just like turned 10? Like, what type of thought process is that? So if you enjoyed the game, you loved it, you're on your 2nd playthrough still playing, and you got all these good things to say about it, that does not lend itself to being a 7. And I don't care what anybody has to say about that. I don't throw all those superlatives on a 7 or continue playing it past the first playthrough. Not for a 7. Nobody
Yep.
really does that. So I just had issue with that. By the way, if you all haven't done so in the chat, please hit the like button. I see you, Risk It. I see you, John Wolf, brother. I see you, Blue. What's up, Blue? And I want to give a shout out to our mods, to Great Monad and Yodani Huzada in the chat. And shout out to everybody who was here. Truly, I saw you up in there earlier. Magbound, what's up, brother? And if anybody else, FarQ, anybody else I'm missing, shout out to you. I'm sure Doodle can't be far away. Is Doodle around here?
Doodle's listening.
Okay, well, shout out Doodle. Talos Ray, what's up, brother?
He's
Bushido.
in the producer's seat.
Bushido in the house, as he like to say. And I think Ice Cold. What's up, Ice Cold? Yeah, thank you all for joining us. It's going to be kind of a smaller one tonight. Already we're close to an hour in from typical time because I started a little bit behind.
A little bit late.
Yeah, and OBS is causing little issues. Right now, it's not even displaying the fix logo around my video window, and I dare not touch anything for fear of messing something up right this minute. But
Fair.
yeah, so I'm going to leave that alone. But, and like Riska said, by the way, David Jaffe said this was the best single player game he's ever played. Now,
he said his top 3 of all time.
Yeah. Now, I personally don't agree with that. I don't put it in that high up, but
Yeah, a little bit.
but
I'm loving it, but
I am loving it. I will say it's one of Bethesda's best ever, though. I will say that. I'm not sure if it has replaced Obsidian in my heart. I mean, excuse me, Oblivion in my heart as far as things go. But that is nostalgia speaking, just to be clear.
That is nostalgia speaking.
It is.
there's definitely a part of that.
Slaps.
Yeah.
Slaps so hard.
It
yo.
absolutely is that. Yodani, by the way, our brother donated $2 to us. He said GameSpot with the "we gave it a 7 out of 10" reposts on X. Yeah, exactly. Like GameSpot already knew. Me and Danny we talked about that before. I think all of us were kind of like, we know they were going to give it something like that. They've kind of been hardline to do that for a while.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. What annoys me, however, is them continuously reposting. We gave it a 7. Like we know what you gave it.
You know what I think it
It
is,
was a
and it's
gross grab for attention.
it's
is
really
what it
funny.
was.
They just want people to click on it. That's all.
Mhm.
Yeah, is I think that they're seeing how much traffic IGN is getting for having gotten it a bad score, and they're like, we did that too.
Oh yeah,
Hey, teacher over here,
hate us
we
too.
Yeah.
Give us
No,
engagement
100%.
too.
You put me in detention
Yeah.
too.
Right.
I mean, it really
pretty
suck if you came and hated on my
Right.
writer. Ooh wee.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got way off topic.
Yeah, we did. We're going to get back to the news roundup. Sorry, folks. We'll get to Starfield in a minute.
So the next thing I got here is the Embracer layoffs continue. There's been layoffs over at Gearbox, specifically Gearbox Publishing. This is added, of course, to Volition being shut down last week and Campfire Cabal getting shut down a little bit earlier. Basically, it's just another situation where Embracer bought too much and then their money didn't show up when they thought it would, and now they don't know how to manage what they have, so they're shutting down doors. The exact numbers of how many people were let go in this case are not yet known because it's like still a developing story. But it seems like it was largely from the Gearbox publishing arm, so maybe not necessarily too many devs, which I guess would make sense because it's probably a redundant, like a redundancy within the Embracer group. But it still sucks for those people.
It
I know
does.
one of the people who got let go was a translator or a localizer. So I guess they probably had another one of those somewhere else, and they were like, well, we don't need to, so they let him go from Gearbox.
This whole Embracer thing has been crazy. I'm wondering how far that type of devastation from that deal that handshake agreement they had is going to fall out to be. I mean, I still feel like there could be some room for Microsoft to eventually squeeze in there and grab. Oh, thank you, John Wolf. That even scared the hell out of me for a second. I'm like, oh yes, what's going on? But I forgot I had that thing on loud. I need to turn it down. So anyway, I'm wondering if Microsoft might be able to squeeze in, and maybe, sure would be a shame if they liberated Lara Croft from, So it's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if that happens. And
I do think that Microsoft will probably move in specifically on Crystal and IDOS in the event that Embracer is looking to sell them off. I think they'll move in minimally for the reason of protecting the games that are being worked on for them already by those teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that they would want to get those teams IP, so that'd be like what, Deus Ex and Lara Croft. I think that's pretty much it.
Exactly.
But those are two really big ones. So
yeah, that's my thinking too. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering how that might play out. Our brother John X Wolf, John Wolf X. Yeah, John has the X's in front of his name, so you know he may throw that tag in the early 2000s.
The year 2000.
Yeah.
yeah,
John says, I wonder how Dan would feel if his wife gave him a 7 in bed. 7 is good, honey. Thumbs up. Take care, guys. See you all in the Starfield.
we're still talking about the other Dan for the record. Not Dan.
Yep. I made sure to
John.
I don't know. Silent came to defend you really quick.
Yeah,
I was
not
like,
that-
not that I
I couldn't
not that
tell
I
you,
know.
Silent. I don't know.
Hey, listen, C Money. Not that I know. But from what I've heard,
He's gonna.
from what
Word
I've
on the street. My reputation
word on the
precedes.
street. Yeah. Word on
Oh
those
my God.
Twitter streets is it is not a 7 out of 10.
He's gonna.
I'm
Be,
Oh
saying.
my God.
Hell yeah.
That's
All
funny.
I'm saying.
But see, Umbra, you say Doodle's name and she appears.
I see it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Doodle. You know, it's funny. It'd be like he come to his wife. I was great, right? You were good. 7 is good. You were
Your
good.
visuals were okay.
you were good. So yeah, and then he'll be sitting there.
It get
Brian.
good till I was
Something-
done. Like when I finished.
Something
So
was
everything else was
janky
bad.
about the physics, and there were a couple weird loading issues. I don't know, but 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. So yeah, what else did we have in the news, Danny?
Let's see. Indiana Jones, the game by Machine Games, will reportedly be shown next year, probably. Todd Howard was in an interview where he, in a fairly non-committal way, said that he's about halfway through producing it, and when the interview was ending and he was leaving, he said that they would talk about it next year. So we may get the Indiana Jones game showed as early as E3 next year, would I think be the most likely candidate.
Yep.
Could be cool.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Seems like they're
Yeah.
way ahead of
It does.
schedule. I was surprised when they said they were
It
halfway
does.
done. I was like, wow, really?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Honestly, I think this E3 is going to be one of those E3s where they're giving us the next roadmap. So they're going to start showing us like the games that are coming out further down the line while we're still waiting for basically the next 2 years of games to come out.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to stick kind of closer to the vest when the games are further out. Now it seems like that might be the case. Like they'll.
I think
show
they're going to do a little bit of a mix. I think
Yeah.
that we're going to
Yeah.
get more tentpole things. I think we might know about further out, like Fable or Elder Scrolls, where it's like we're going to assume what these teams are working on anyway. So you may as well just tell us, like, yeah, they're working on the next Elder Scrolls, because like we would assume that that's what they were working on anyway, and it keeps people engaged in that sort of thing. But I think maybe smaller games they'll hold closer to the chest, like Hi-Fi Rush. They shadow drop that. So hopefully we'll get a good mix of things to look forward to in the long term and things that can still be announced to keep us excited in the meantime.
Makes sense.
Yeah, well, you figure there's still games that they haven't shown us from the 2020 E3. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like State of Decay 3, we still haven't seen that again. So like I think that next E3 we'll start seeing those games pop up as a hey, in the future this is coming, because we're still waiting for, the Hellblades and the Fables to actually go live. Plus Gears. They gotta show us Gears.
Yeah, that should be pretty soon too, I would think.
Yeah. I think that's definitely an E3 drop, so
I can see that.
yeah, for sure. You can't go much longer than that. It's been forever.
Yeah, I still feel salty though, because I wanted them to come out with that game they were working on that they had to cancel.
Oh yeah, they were
Yeah.
working on a
Yep.
smaller game,
The
right?
side
That's supposed to come
project
out and then
one.
they scrapped it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't like that, but yeah,
It's possible that they might still end up doing that after Gear 6,
I
Or
hope
maybe
so.
it got
I guess we'll
absorbed.
see.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Maybe.
a lot of times, some of these places they make a game and then they're like, "Yo, you know what? This actually would be good in Gears of War."
It could be,
So they're like, "You know what? Let's just absorb it in there."
depending
Yeah,
on what
Truly
type
says
of game
Perfect
it is.
Dark. Forget about that.
Yeah, it's Perfect Dark as
Exactly.
well. It's been a long while from that. Actually, it'll
I
be by
personally hope they're going
4
back to
years by that
horror.
point, right?
Yo, Perfect Dark is so long.
Something like that.
2018, right?
Yeah, it'll be
I'm
about 4
thinking
years by the time
20.
if they do it.
I'm thinking 2025.
For
We see that one.
Perfect Dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could at least show us
With
the
everything
gameplay.
going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
they can show something at E3 because next year we know that none of these games are coming out.
Exactly.
We still have the Hellblade and Avowed and whatever else they're stuffing in there. So, yeah, I think they can give us a little bit of what's 2025, 2026 look like for
Yeah.
sure,
That's my thinking too. But
or hoping at least.
what else do we
At
have?
least a hope.
I
don't know.
got an interesting one here. Megan Fox is going to be in Mortal Kombat 1. She's playing everybody's favorite character that no one remembered, Natara, from the one that had a million characters, probably. She's like some weird demon vampire bat lady, and she's Megan Fox, so now she's real hot, I guess. I don't know. She's probably not going to be a great voice actress, but hey, at least she's not going to be as bad as Ronda Rousey. I can't imagine how anybody could.
Oh yeah, no.
Wait, so this
Ronda sucks.
right?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so for Mortal Kombat 1,
Okay.
I'm not sure how important of a character she's going to be to the story. I mean, it's Natara. It's not like a character that people generally are super
That
excited
would be
about.
one of those like team up characters, I'm guessing.
No, she's playable. She's like a full playable
really?
character.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
So she'll be in it to some extent. I mean, I guess they wouldn't have gotten the money for a big celebrity like Megan Fox to play her if she wasn't going to be in it at all. But you know, I mean, she's not Liu Kang or Sonya Blade or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't
Oh, no,
expect her to be like front and center.
I don't even
I wouldn't
remember the
imagine
character
she's
she's
gonna-
playing, bro.
Natara? Oh, dude. It's been
Yeah.
it's been years since we've seen Natara. So yeah.
Well, but that's how a lot of the characters that they've been showing off, especially recently for Mortal Kombat 1, have been. Like they showed off, what was it, Motaro or whatever? Like the Centaur guy he's one of the strikers, and then they did like, God, who's that one? She's like a demon but good. Like they're pulling a lot of people out of just the deep roster, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool, I guess.
Yeah. So I think I just want to let everybody know this thing, OBS and Discord, are both having issues. At one point, it cut out for me to hear you guys for a second
Oh no.
on Discord, and it rebooted as
damn.
as Silent was talking. And YouTube is going through a little thing too. I don't know what's up, so I apologize, audience. I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully, you guys can still hear us clearly. Bushido jumped in with with what I consider, a 7 out of 10 post, and he said this show is a 7 out of 10. Side eye. Yeah.
The slander.
And my
my
brother
God.
Young Kiryu jumped in and rightly bashed Bushido right upside his head. He says, Mr. Bushido N7 is broke. Side eye. I appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank you,
man.
fellas. And I'm so glad that you took a dump on Bushido's chest.
Right on
Whoa.
his chest.
With
Little
consent.
Cleveland, the
With
Cleveland
consent, to be
Steamer,
fair.
baby.
Gave the old Cleveland steamer.
No rolling brownouts.
Rolling Brown. Now I have also
rolling
seen
brownouts.
Sex Drive.
That's a lot of different
Or an
names for
angry
the
red
situation.
dragon, or
Angry Red Dragon.
Man, people are trying to kind of come up with the coolest names for the grossest things.
It's really bad.
Uh-oh.
It's really bad.
no double Dutch rudders here. Okay.
So
I don't know what that one is, and I don't want to know what that one is.
Nope, not at all.
Bushido
Not at
said,
all.
"Where's the sound? Does everybody else hear us, or is it only Bushido's old ears that's crapping out
He
right
might be
now?"
messing with you.
I'm seeing other people saying that it's good on their
Mr.
end.
Bushido's $1.99 headphones failed him.
Yeah, they can hear
Oh,
us.
shit.
'cause-
Uh,
yeah, they can hear us. Bushido tried to throw me off. See, 7 out of 10 trolling. By the way, shout out Pete. What's up, Pete, brother? What's up, Red Dead Panda? What's up, friend? What's up, Spartan? Yeah. What else do we have in the news, Danny?
they're making a movie based on a video game. Guess what game it is? You won't. It's Stray. They're making a Stray movie. I
Of course.
shit you not. This is
Cat
real and
movie?
happening. Yes.
I definitely would not have guessed that either. So
So Annapurna, exactly the same people who make the games, have started an animation department, and they've made one movie before that apparently performed decently well in like small circles, and so they're like, well, we want to make stuff based on, because I think they must have published Stray is the only way I can think of why they would go to Stray. And they were like, yeah, we should probably make a movie about Stray because it won a bunch of awards, and it's probably not the best idea, but they're doing it. So here we go.
Oh,
What a
man.
waste of a movie. The game was fine, but to make a movie, I mean, I guess the world is kind of cool. Like the idea that the robots are there. I mean, if they make it really good, it could be good, I guess.
it's possible.
Think of all the things that they could actually put that money towards instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
I'm sure it'll be good. Annapurna's good, but I don't know. I feel like it's a missed opportunity. Like, put that towards another game. Like, invest it somewhere else, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I feel though like it could possibly be something, to be fair to them. Depends on how they handle it. Because the world that you're in that game is interesting. The game itself just wasn't that interesting to me. I don't know how best to put it. Gamified, and it wasn't gamified enough. But
I can see it now. The
Yeah.
movie is going to be Sony exclusive.
right, exclusive. Sony Studios present, Sony Pictures present. Yeah.
They'll put that in for the PS Plus like free games thing, and people will be like, this is just
Yes.
like the games we
Yeah.
play all the time.
Right.
Just like that. Wow.
Sony
love
really
it.
knows how to deliver for us. 9 out of 10.
That's
This is
wild.
why they made the price so much more.
Yeah, right.
11 out of 10. This is why you're paying for more PSN service.
This
Congrats.
justifies it. This justifies it. I'm happy.
You'll never get movies
For
like
the
this over on
viewers.
Xbox.
Right.
All right, dude. Y'all have fun.
That's fucked up.
What else do we have in the news?
We got the titles for season 2's the season 2. I don't even know where to start with the sentence of this because it's weird. The animated MCU show What If leaked the episode titles for its second season, which normally I wouldn't talk about, but because it's literally basically explanations of what each episode is, I think it's worth it. So here they are. It is What If Gamora Killed Thanos? I don't know if that's like back when she was a baby or whatever, but I guess we'll find out. What If Captain Carter Finds Hydra Stomper? So that's a continuation from the season 1 episode where she was Captain America or Captain Britain, and then Steve basically got an Iron Man suit. What if the Tesseract had landed in the, and I'm going to mispronounce this terribly, Haudenosaunee Confederacy before the colonization of America? Basically, it's like, hey, what if the Native Americans got incredibly powerful before the white man showed up to ruin everything? And it specifically says that they're introducing a new hero called Kahori, who I think is in the comics. I might be wrong, but you know what? There's not enough Native American representation in comic books, so I will take it.
Interesting.
Then we've got What If Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne fought the Red Guardian during the 80s? I don't know, it's a really long title, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
What if Yondu delivered Star-Lord to Ego? What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas? That's the one I'm looking forward to.
Oh, that sounds good.
I love a Christmas special.
Gotta love a
Yeah.
Christmas special. What if Wanda had grown up watching musicals instead of sitcoms? That'd
Okay.
probably be funny. What if
Oh.
Odin and Hela had faced Wenwu, he's the villain from Shang-Chi?
Yeah.
And then what if the Avengers had fought Surtur from Ragnarok? I don't know. There's not a ton of there that I'm super excited about, but
Yeah.
How about like
There's
what
some-
if the
there's some
Blade
interesting
movie would
ones.
come out? Can we have a what if Blade came to theaters?
Yeah.
So we
that'd
could
be
actually
nice.
see that movie.
That'd be
What?
nice.
That would be nice.
what if Blade existed?
That would be nice.
Wouldn't it be nice? But
What if we
It's a good
had
song.
diversity in MCU?
yeah. Yeah. I'm wondering, speaking of that, where they're at now with the rewrite or whatever there is of Blade. It's been a
Right.
while.
I get
Because
nervous.
Mahershala Ali, I think, dropped out was the last thing I had heard about it, and then obviously now there's all these writer strikes and actor strikes, so they can't really do anything about it at the moment. But it's pretty safe to assume that movie is going to be very delayed.
Yeah. I'm wondering how the whole strike situation is going to work.
It's not great. It's actually, I mean, this is another story that I have in here, but it's actually starting to spill over into video games now.
I saw that.
Yeah. So,
Oh, is it?
yeah. So
Yeah.
they're getting over into, because obviously there's no unions for game devs. Well, very few unions for game devs yet, but there are unions for voice actors who are part of. I think they're like a subsect of SAG. I might be wrong, but they're starting to go on strike probably pretty soon here. So hopefully Spider-Man 2 goes gold real fast, because I don't know how that's going to work out, because that's very heavily like actor-based game.
So you're saying that even if they're done, that they can still hold it back if they go on strike?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be able to do any kinds of like reshoots or anything like that. So if there is anything left that they need to do, they wouldn't be able to do it.
I see.
Well, if there's anything left they need to do this close voice-wise, that's a problem.
Yeah, you would hope that that's not the case.
That's
But who
actually
knows?
that's the saving grace for something like Starfield, because I've been kind of seeing some of this stuff from Elias. I'm gonna butcher his last name, but it's like Tufexis. I forget the last name. It's the guy that did Adam Jensen in Deus Ex and is Samco in Starfield.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Stuff. Yeah. So if his voice recording hadn't been done before all this stuff hit, we probably would have seen some sort of weird cuts there as well.
Somebody said like 3 years ago that they were doing the recording for it.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while, so
I
thank
would hope
goodness
so.
they at least got all their stuff squared away. But yeah, anything that's in play right now is kind of at jeopardy, which is
I wouldn't think that Spider-Man 2 would actually have any problem with it, because assuming that it's still on track to come out in October, I just think it would be really the part of my brain that lives for chaos would really love it if Sony's first party this year was a VR game that everyone forgot about 2 seconds after it came out, a Game Pass first party title, and then a Spider-Man game that got delayed out of the year. I think that'd be really funny. So
That'd be hilarious.
Choosing violence, Dan.
I'm choosing violence today. When it actually, if it actually happens, I'll be upset, because then I won't be able to play Spider-Man. But
dude, there would be so
I'd be pissed.
Twitter is bad in general. But
Twitter's always bad. Yeah.
Could you imagine for a second if Spider-Man 2 got delayed? Like that would be
honestly, I would love.
I don't know if I'd even.
I almost wanted to happen to punish the more ridiculous Hoove brother out there, but
literally they've had it too good for too long.
I would live for the salt, but man, I get nervous about like how bad things could get.
You want to see them jump into the Xbox side of things. Hi, my fellow Xboxers. Right.
Turns chair around backwards.
Hello, it's me, King Thrash. I'm with you on Xbox now.
Right. Let me rap with you for a minute.
Oh my god.
Oh, can you imagine?
Let me tell you, brother.
Situation.
See, I was playing the long con. I was actually an Xbox fan all this time. Like, nah, get out.
And I was already married to Sarah, and you didn't even realize it.
You didn't even know.
Isn't that what Reforged pretty much sold everybody?
Yo, yeah.
When he's talking all this shit about the game and he's rocking the fucking watch.
Yes, the watch. Oh,
these frauds.
It's just a really good Fitbit. Like, I don't know, dude.
Futuristic Fitbit. Yeah, these guys are frauds, man. I just can't get behind that. The lack of integrity is ridiculous, man. To sit there and base your channel on that. That's crazy.
I'm okay with people having bad takes, but just like, I don't know. I need it to feel like your bad take is your actual bad take. If that makes sense.
And not just a persona.
Yeah, let it be let it be how you really feel, not for, like you said, for clout. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't get as many follows because it's not as intense.
It doesn't.
If it bleeds, it leads, sir.
And that's another thing. I even saw our good sister. Hold on. How did I draw a blank so suddenly?
Alana Pierce?
No. Well, she did. Yeah. Speaking of
her whole thing.
Yeah, she got
people trying to get her fired because she said she liked the game.
Yeah, like how dare she?
You can't like a Starfield and work at a PlayStation studio. And she's like, bro, literally half the staff is playing Starfield right now. Like, what do you think? Like devs don't do this. Well, some of them, unfortunately, but the majority of devs don't do this fanboy shit. Like, they just play games because they love them.
It's so stupid.
God forbid people get to play video games besides the one that they're working on.
Yeah.
It's weirdos out
Yeah,
there.
she made a video on it. I don't know if you guys watched it, but she made it pretty
Yes.
clear.
I
So
saw.
like
it.
even Corey Bullock, they were talking about her and him were talking about it before the meeting. You know what they're doing in Starfield and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody's on the Starfield train, and anybody who is doing this job and wants to do it at the highest level is always going to look at what's popping anyway. Right? They're all going to want to play Starfield and see what's what and see what they can take or get inspired from it and do something else, right?
Oh yeah, I promise you, Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, they're all looking at the success of like a Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever and being like, what worked about this? What can we take from this? What can we learn from this? Like that's just
Absolutely.
how this works.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know they had that leaked the mock review that Xbox had done for The Last of Us 2.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Which was
You know what
used
I'm
in
saying? Where they
console
have-
warring as well, by the way.
I mean, anything
Exactly.
and everything will be used for console warring, of course.
Yeah.
Always.
Our brother
That's how they do it.
Spartan661 gave a generous donation of $4.99. He says, "What if Morph is in a new version of X-Men?" Exclamation point. Let me read it more excitedly. What if Morph is in a new version of X-Men? Okay. He was
Who's asking for
No.
more?
Do it
What's
and
going on?
everyone is asking for more.
Are they really? Are people asking for more?
Dude, are you kidding me? Morph is great.
He had his thing at the time, I
Night of,
suppose.
Night of the Sentinels. Night of the Sentinels Part 1 and 2. You kidding me?
It's been a
He was
while.
great.
It's been a while. It's fell off since then.
Is he
though.
a main X-Men?
No.
No, he's kind of a
Well,
side
he-
one, but he was big on
Yeah,
the
he
show
was
at
kind
the
of
time.
a side one. Yeah, spoilers. He
Yeah.
died an
Yeah.
untimely death.
He
But
says
he was a really cool character.
he was made just for the Fox cartoon. Let him be an actual character in live action. The possibilities? Yeah, I
If they
remember
bring him
Morph.
in, they'll just kill him off like they did in the show. Like that's
You
what he would
could-
exist for.
Yeah, if they can
You
kill
could
off.
cast.
Who was that?
You could cast Sam. What was it? It was Sam Raimi's brother, the one that was in
Oh yeah,
Hercules with Kevin
Ted
Sorbo.
Raimi.
Yeah, Ted Raimi. You could put him as Morph. I think that would be a perfect cast.
He seems a little
Honestly.
old for it, but yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Why not? I guess it
still.
depends on where they come in on the like X-Men timeline, but why not?
Yeah,
He was resurrected. What?
He was Resurrection
No.
Man.
I mean,
No. Kale Walker in the chat saying he died and was resurrected. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I mean,
Morph
look, it's
and-
Marvel Comics. The Marvel specifically does this weird thing where, like, instead of rebooting their universe whenever they run out of things to do, they'll just be like, and then there was a
came back.
clone of Gwen Stacy, and now she's back, and we're gonna tell that story.
yeah,
It's like,
Yeah. Okay.
it's like-
okay. Yeah.
it becomes really complicated and hard to follow.
I wouldn't be surprised if they kill him off too. I mean, if they can kill off an unkillable Darwin, I don't see why Morph would survive.
So funny.
But yeah, what
His
else?
whole thing is he can't die in the 2
Yeah.
seconds of the movie. Kill him off.
Yeah, but Kevin Bacon was like, "Have you seen Footloose? Die."
Hey, yo, check this out.
Right. Take this fireball. Yeah, that was ridiculous. But what else did we have?
We got two bits of Nintendo news. First of all, Tears of the Kingdom will not be receiving any DLC. This is at first I was like, yeah, that makes sense because I don't associate Nintendo games with DLC. But then I thought about it and I was like, oh no, pretty much all their games have been getting DLC lately.
Yeah, the other one. had
Breath of the
DLC
Wild
for
got 2 of
sure.
them.
It makes
Yeah.
sense though. I mean,
So it's
some people see Tears of the Kingdom as a DLC, although
as DLC.
I think
Yeah,
it's not fair to say it's a big game, but
it's a big game.
I get it. It's definitely feels like a continuation of the world, right? So I get why they're
Yeah.
saying it.
They specifically were just like, we're not looking at making any more content for Tears of the Kingdom. We are instead looking at what's next, which is presumably a new Zelda game, but we don't actually know that, I guess, for sure.
I'm going to guess
so
that's
we'll
the
see.
case. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, definitely somebody's working on the next Zelda, right? Like that's their bread and butter.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. What else do we have? What else?
They also demoed the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to call it at Gamescom behind very, very closed doors to a very small number of people, but a little bit of information leaked about it. Apparently, they were just showing some demos demonstrating the system's capabilities. They showed off the Matrix demo for UE5 running on it, apparently, which people are like, that's crazy. Is that real? Because we don't have
say
any.
it ran with DLSS.
Yeah, we don't have any like people talking about how well it ran, but they were like, it ran, and I think I saw a ray traced maybe. And so like
Ray was
so that's pretty
traced.
cool. I saw exactly one ray
Ray.
trace. And then they were just like one of the other demos that they showed was an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild, which may imply backwards compatibility, but apparently when they asked about it, they were like kind of cagey still. So who knows? Basically, this is just added to the stuff that we know about it, so it makes a lot of sense. Because the other stuff we'd heard about the Switch 2 at this point is basically just like they're targeting sometime next year, probably holiday 2024, and that their key partners have had dev kits for a while now. So it would make sense that they would be showing it off to people now. I don't know when they're going to show it, like officially. I think they showed off the original Switch like 6 months before it launched. So I guess we'll hear about it sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Shout out to Jez Gordon, by the way, who pointed that out, I believe, in August.
Yeah, he was the first one,
Yeah.
and then people, Eurogamer or Digital Files, you try to say that Eurogamer broke the news.
Yeah.
And just is like, bro, come on, man.
What he said it like last year, I think, right, Jez? Something like that.
No, maybe I think it was like earlier this year.
Earlier
I don't
this
think it
year?
was
Yeah,
that
okay.
far back.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, no. The Gamescom thing I think was actually right after Gamescom.
Okay, I see.
He definitely said it like recently, but he may have also said some other stuff before then.
Yeah. I remember him talking about it for sure. I think even Jeff Grubb may have mentioned it at one point. So, a lot of people don't seem to have this, we can't trust this supposed insiders. Like, Jez has been on the money. Like, what's the problem? Like, get over it already. But a shout out, by the way, to Windows Central. I won the game that you see on the screen here. I won that today in the contest.
Oh,
they were
yeah, we
having.
saw that.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. On Sea of Stars. So after I finally come out of the black hole that is Starfield, I will try to get back into this. It's actually really, really fun. I actually really like it. So and it works perfectly on the Rock Ally, by the way. So just want to point that out. Anyway, what else do we have, Danny?
I've just got a couple more things. I've got the CM Punk thing and then some Starfield stuff that I think will lead into our final conversation here. So if you'll let me go off about CM Punk for a while. One of the most popular wrestlers of all time was fired from AEW earlier this week, I guess. It was potentially overdue because he has been deeply, deeply, deeply problematic since he was rehired or since he was hired over at AEW. Basically, it's a situation where when he was at WWE originally, there were all these stories about how like he was complicated and like he was getting into fights backstage, and people just didn't really like working with him over there. And at the time when he left, because he did like all his pipe bombs and stuff, when he left, we assumed that it was WWE's fault because, well, at the time it was easy to believe that WWE was at fault for stuff because they had also just gone through like the Ring Boy scandal and like all this terrible stuff about like how they were treating their women wrestlers, and just like it was really easy to buy them as being the bad guy in this situation because they had been the bad guy in a lot of other situations. And then he was gone for wrestling for, I think it was 9 years. And when he came back, it was this huge pop. They did it in Chicago, of course, because he's like Chicago's favorite wrestler, because he's from there. And
Chi-Town.
it was a huge moment. It was one of the biggest moments. Yeah, it was one of the biggest moments in wrestling history, without a doubt. And for a while, it was really good. He came back and he was cutting really good promos. He wasn't great in the ring. Like, he wasn't as good as he used to be. He was still fine. But it was pretty clear that he had a little bit of ring rust. And there was a lot of matches where people were sort of carrying him through, like MJF especially, or like Samoa Joe were really carrying him through a lot of his matches. And then we start getting into these conversations where apparently he was being really problematic with the people backstage again. And he was like talking shit about how he was selling more action figures than other people who had been with the company longer. And it's like, yeah, dude, you're literally CM Punk. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, or like,
let me ask you before you go. So CM Punk, if you all don't know, he seems to have a lot of controversy around him. Like, he's one of those types that
he is a magnet for drama.
He is. And even like, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time as I used to, although I'm getting back into it lately. It's crazy because I've been watching a lot of stuff on YouTube. Nothing touches the Attitude Era for me still.
Yeah.
Yo, same here, bro.
Attitude Era was just
is the
special.
era.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's nothing can be it. Nothing's the same.
It's
it's just
I
can't try. I keep trying to get into it, bro. I can't, man.
Yeah,
man,
no,
I
I get
can't-
it.
I
I
can't
get it.
Jump back in, bro.
I get it, and it's possibly a thing where, you know, we lost when we lost those mega stars. It was kind of hard to accept those that came after, right? So that's
Yep.
what it was for me. It's like these guys don't do it for me. But CM Punk, I
These young
did
folks
like.
don't know what they're missing.
They don't. Yeah, you young whippersnappers don't have any
Yeah.
idea.
Hey, look, I watched the Attitude
You
Era.
guys are like
and it was
CM
really
Punk.
good.
So like, what's that? What's a CM,
CM Punk was in the Attitude
Right.
Era.
No,
He was like tail end.
No.
He was tail end of Attitude into Ruthless Aggression. That's where he like got his
So
start.
then he was definitely ruthless.
I would say
in my
Ruthless.
mind.
Maybe even what's after Ruthless? Was it the?
It's like the PG era.
I could see him maybe in the tail end and the beginning of PG, as far as WWE. Because I would say maybe the end of Ruthless probably. Because I don't think he definitely wasn't there for during the Attitude Era.
He
Yeah,
was
'cause
there.
I
He wasn't
Not
what
as
he was.
not as a main star. I mean, that's what I mean
Yeah.
by that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but I CM Punk is a magnet for drama, right? But I mean, he's a charismatic guy. You hear him on the mic. He's a great talker. He can stand.
Yeah. Oh, he's great on the mic.
Oh yeah, he can stand with the best of them. I remember that much from him. You know what I mean? He got the Chicago swag. I'll give him that. You know, shout out to Homeland Chicago here. You know, but yeah, I think that every time I see him, he seems unhappy. One thing I will say, but I had looked more into it, Danny, and I was like, let me get a little background on this situation that happened. And some of this doesn't seem like he's quite at fault, according to Cornette and I believe what's the guy that does the podcast with Cornette? Is it Mike?
Oh, Cornette is not to be trusted.
Yeah, he can't trust him, huh?
No, Cornette is very like old school ass. Like he still thinks everyone should be in kayfabe like all the time. Like
You know what?
Still wants
I don't
he
mind
still wants
that,
the people
though.
who are Samoan to be like grunting like they're feral pigs. Like he's really bad, and just like terrible about specifically like women's wrestling. Like his opinions on wrestling is just like not to be given credit.
You know, he has an
but
old
there
school
are-
approach, though. I will agree
there
with you,
are-
but I do
There
like some of what
are
he says. 'Cause I
aspects
think
of the CM
kayfabe
Punk
should stay.
situation. Yeah, there are aspects of the CM Punk situation where I don't think he's at fault. Like there's certain situations where like fights were started because of things that he said, but things that he said that he were correct. And we'll get to that. But like basically, it was just it all started really falling apart like a year ago after All In, where he was mad because apparently he like didn't approve a spot and it went through anyway, and like it wasn't, I don't know, it's a long story, but basically he was upset after the last All Out or All In rather, and he went on to the press briefing that they do after all their pay-per-views, and he just completely buried like the whole company. Like he was sitting right next to Tony Khan and he was burying Tony. He was burying all of the like higher end people. He was pretending he was the only adult in the room when he was the only one acting like he wasn't. And he was just making a real ass out of himself.
I saw it. I actually watched
And
that.
then-
I saw the clips for that. And the guy was just saying, well, that
He was
guy, by the way,
in
the
his
one that
feelings.
owns AEW, is he like
Tony Khan.
yeah, Tony Khan, is he like like a little pushover? Because the way CM
little
Punk
bit.
was talking next to him, I'm like, you just gonna let this guy? You're his boss, and he was just
Yeah.
trashing him.
CM Punk, or sorry, Tony Khan specifically, he's really good at his job. He's really good at like leading the company and doing the business side of it. But yeah, he is a little bit of a pushover, and he's working on it. I mean, he just fired CM Punk, so like he's getting better at it.
He was
but
scared for his life.
yeah, well, I think that's ridiculous too. But it's anyway. So after that, he like got into a fist fight with the EVPs backstage because they went to go talk to him in the locker room, and they were like, "Hey, like from all accounts, except his and Ace Steel, who's like his boy, the Young Bucks, Kenny, and I think Hangman might have been there too, went to go talk to him and just be like, hey man, like it's cool for you to be upset, but like you should have probably talked to us instead of going to the press briefing and just like talking shit about everybody there. And like it was a big mess, and he does not handle confrontation well at all. And he immediately started like throwing fists. Ace Steel, his boy, like bit Kenny, I think, or somebody. He bit somebody, which is like, how did we get to that point?
Wow.
Somebody apparently kicked a dog, and like the dog lost teeth, and it's like, all right, we've lost all control of this situation.
The dog didn't even do any damn thing. They're like, you know what?
Yeah, the dog was just there.
Fuck you, dog.
And it just everyone involved in that ended up getting suspended for a really long time. And when he came back, he was put on a completely different show because the company or the broadcast network was like, hey, we want you to do another show because WWE has 2 major shows. So we want to have another one. And they're like, okay, this is perfect. We'll put CM Punk over there and all the people who hate him over, we'll put him on Collision and everyone who hates him on Dynamite, and we'll just do it from there. And he sort of was like, okay, then Collision is my show and I'm going to take control of it. And he like started getting really big for his britches. And so he started banning people from Collision. He would tell people to leave like before their matches, or somebody would like say something on Twitter and he'd be like, get out of my show, and like completely got like like very territorial about this thing that was not his.
Yeah.
And it was just being a real dick about it.
Yeah.
And then at All In this year, he had told this younger wrestler, Jack Perry, that he shouldn't use real glass for his spots because it's unnecessary. No one can tell the difference and it hurts him. And he was right. Like in this particular instance, Punk was correct. There was no reason why Jack Perry should be. Jack Perry, by the way, being the child of Luke Perry, the actor who passed recently.
Really?
Or like last year, 2 years ago or something.
90210?
Yes. Yeah, he's the son of Luke Perry.
Yeah.
So he's a wrestler?
Yeah, he's really good too.
What the?
Nice. I never knew that.
Yeah, he used to be in a tag team with a dinosaur. It's a long story. Now he's in a feud, or no, he was wrestling with tag teaming with a dinosaur, and then he got into a feud with Christian from Edge and Christian from the Attitude Era.
Wait. You said when you said dinosaur, I thought you meant like somebody old. He was wrestling.
No,
with
like literally, there's a wrestler called Luchasaurus who is a luchador wrestler.
Oh,
a luchador dinosaur wrestler.
Oh, see,
of course there is.
He's really cool. Don't worry about it. There's a lot going on in wrestling.
Oh my god, what is his finishing move?
There's too many now, bro. There's too many people, and they all look
a
the
really
same.
big kick. I don't remember what he calls it.
Oh man,
ain't nobody looks like Luchasaurus. Google a picture right now.
I want to see this actually. I want to see this.
Jesus.
Yes.
Luchasaurus. So is it like a wannabe Rey Mysterio?
No, he's like a 7-foot tall behemoth in a dinosaur mask.
What the hell?
Yeah, he's really big.
Oh, I've seen this guy. He was behind Christian, I think, at one promo of something of his.
Yeah, so right now he's the TNT champion, and Christian is like his manager, sort of. And Christian just carries the belt around and pretends it's his.
He looks ridiculous.
It's really funny.
Looks like he just came right off the stage from a Slipknot concert.
I promise you, it's the coolest thing. It's so cool. But anyway, so CM Punk was telling Jack Perry that he shouldn't do this glass spot, and again he was right. Like, there's no reason that you should use real glass. Like, he's a young wrestler. He's relatively new at it, even though he's really good. And so scratching up your body and just cutting yourself for no reason, when like literally no one can tell there's a difference between real glass and fake glass at that distance anyway, it's just a complete waste of time. But apparently Jack took umbrage with that, and so on a pre-show match, I think it was, for the pay-per-view that turned out to be the largest pay-per-view of all time for a wrestling event in terms of ticket sales, which is awesome. It was over in London in Wembley Stadium, Wembley Arena, I don't know.
Yeah, Wembley.
But there was a spot in that where Jack Perry was wrestling Taz's son, Hook.
Taz has a son in wrestling too?
Oh, he's also phenomenal.
Wow.
He's so good.
Okay.
But so they were wrestling, and he got put through the windshield of like some car, and he was like, and he like looked at the camera and he was like, "That's real glass, cry me a river." And like, he shouldn't have done that. It's a very childish thing to do, because like, wrestling fans are really tuned in to what's happening backstage. So we knew what he was talking about, and we're like, he probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And then apparently he went backstage, and CM Punk put him in a stranglehold and choked him out. And then him and Ace Steel got into another fist fight, this time completely caught on camera, that Tony Khan was involved in, and had like stuff knocked over onto him. And it was a huge mess, and they launched an investigation, and they decided to fire him because he's awful. And the general public pretty much all agrees that this was the right choice. Like, he's a really big draw, and he makes a lot of money for the company. But if every single place you go, you're saying the other person is the problem, at some point you need to look internally and be like, maybe I'm the asshole. And he is like, because AEW, they had problems before, but it was always just stuff like this person's not happy with their booking, or like this person doesn't particularly like this other person. It was never people getting into fistfights backstage. It was never people getting choked out backstage. You know what I mean? There should never be a workplace where an employee is allowed to put a person who is half his age into a stranglehold and not get fired. There is no situation in which that should be allowed.
He put him in a front face lock, they said, right?
It was something like that. Yeah, he choked him out, and it ended up getting split up by, I think, Samoa Joe. I don't remember. But it was just a huge mess. And they finally got rid of him. And the problem is that the next show immediately after that was in Chicago.
Yo, I saw that.
So
they booed the hell out of old boy.
They booed the hell out. And honestly, mad respect for Tony for going out there and talking to them before the show, because they needed somebody to be mad at, and he was there to soak it up. And then they did a lot of booing and just like generally being, did their CM Punk chants throughout the show, because that's what they do.
Because it's Chicago, this
but it was a lot less terrible than it probably would have been if he hadn't done that. So I respect him for doing that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have expected him to, because like you said, he is kind of a pushover. I would never expect him to do anything that like puts himself,
I think,
in the way of like.
He probably was
harm.
in a no-win situation here. I'm sure CM Punk said something to the nature of, I'm not coming back, or something of the nature. And he's like, okay, we have to let him go.
He pretty much immediately he was like, I'm quitting this place, I'm out of here. And so like he probably would have left anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just like he's such a huge problem, and I know he makes a lot of money for the company. He sells a lot of merch, and like specifically in Chicago, he sells a lot of tickets. But if he's causing that much trouble backstage that people are like genuinely getting hurt, it's not worth it. It's 100% not worth it. It's a liability. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I don't know. Any other boss would not have put up with that for as long, honestly. Vince McMahon would have fired that dude like a year ago. Guaranteed. And I know that for a fact because he's done it before.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon is still alive? Is he jacked?
He's still in charge of WWE.
Yeah, he's still there.
Is he jacked? Because I remember he was trying to get all jacked up. Remember, he used to.
He's still buffer than you would think a man of his age would be.
Yeah, he's still got some buffness. You can tell that. Like,
what about
years
Shane
have caught
McMahon?
up to him though.
Shane McMahon is still around too. He doesn't wrestle as much as he used to, although he does believe himself to be the best wrestler in the world, which is really funny. I don't know if it's a gimmick or how much of that is true, but it's really funny.
It has to be a lie.
Yeah,
he's definitely cracked out.
But
and Stephanie's married with Triple H, right?
Stephanie's married to Triple H, yeah, and they have, I think, 2 daughters, who will probably at least one of them end up wrestling at some point. So
the game.
Anyway, it's been this whole situation.
That come to wrestling now is Logan Paul. Is that not right?
No, that's not correct at all.
Not right.
That's not correct at all. So Logan Paul is wrestling, and he's surprisingly good at it, which I hate.
He's athletic as hell. I'll give him that. He's athletic. I just don't care for him.
Yeah, I hate that he's good at it.
I hope he's
like really good
out of the
flipping
ring.
and shit.
But no, genuine, like, so like AEW is really a fun company to watch. They do a lot of great stuff, and it just became really toxic there for a while, where like you would see all of these promos that Punk would be doing, and he would be in a feud with just literally anybody, but in his promos he would be like talking shit about the Young Bucks or somebody that he got into a fist fight with backstage like a year ago, and it's like, dude, get over it. Like, you're supposed to be in an angle with this other guy now. Just like move on, be an adult. It's just it was a mess the whole time. I'm personally glad he's gone, because AEW is doing a lot of really good work, and I think that they will be in general better off without him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a long, kind of drawn out thing, but
yeah,
like I said, it seems to be the case that CM Punk isn't fully at fault. Like some of what he did is justified, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing where he'll land. I know he had bad blood still with WWE, but I'm wondering, did that extend to, to him not returning at some point? Could he come back to WWE right now?
He could return, but I think that they would have him on a much shorter leash than Tony Khan had him on. I don't think they would put up with it as much. which is probably for the best. Honestly, if they can rein him in, it'd be a really good get for them. There's not a lot of other places he could go. Impact Wrestling, not AEW, NWA. Like, I don't think either of them can afford him, so he probably wouldn't go there. Maybe New Japan. I know he was saying that he wanted to wrestle in New Japan a long time ago, so he could potentially go there. But if he goes to New Japan, then basically no one in America is going to see him wrestle because it's a different continent and they don't speak English over there. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Regardless, we will 100% hear his side of the story any day now, because he will go on just like some unrelated thing and go on like a 30-minute tirade about how much he hates Tony Khan and how everybody's a shill and it's everybody else's fault, because that's just what he does. So this story will develop for, I'm sure, the next 3-4 months. And every time any wrestling show goes to Chicago for the rest of time, they'll be chanting CM Punk.
Oh yeah. You know, I mean, you start playing the cult of personality. It's kind of hard to get over that.
I mean, it's a good ass song.
Look in my eyes. Yeah. But so listen, we're kind of on a crunch for time, so we're going to kind of forego if any had any other topics for that to go to the main topic. And this is for the meat and potatoes for you guys being here with us tonight, because I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on what you've been liking and what you don't like so much in Starfield. And I'm going to mention this and I'm going to let you guys vamp. You all, give each other air to say what you have to say and just freely say everything you need to say. I have to step away for a second. I'm just saying this for the chat so you guys would know too. So I'm going to say this and I want you guys to kind of give your thoughts on it and really press upon us what you think with this question I'm going to ask. So I posted a poll the other day. And by the way, before I even lead to that, I want to give love and appreciation to what is one of the greatest development studios in the history of gaming, in my honest opinion, with Bethesda. They have now, of course, they had 1 million concurrent gamers playing Starfield across the board, which is pretty big. And of course, our Hoove brothers were confused by that on Twitter. And we're like, 1 million? You got 25 million plus subscribers in Game Pass. That's it. They didn't say it was only 1 million playing ever. They just said at one time. That's what concurrent means. Anyway.
I think they did that because of the stupidity of the people who thought that they meant that it was just 1 million people playing. They were like, oh shit, all right, it's actually 6 million. I think they were gonna wait till like it hit like 10, like later tomorrow or something like that. But
I think they probably would have waited for a more impressive number. Because like six is impressive, but like it's gonna go so much higher than that.
Oh
yeah, that's why they did it like in the middle of the day. They were like, as of this morning, it was 6 million.
Yeah,
they just wanted to give a number.
So
because people kept running.
Somebody led to what I was about to say, which was that they have crossed 6 million at least playing currently right now in total, which is impressive. I wonder how much of that is sales, though. I wonder how much is going to be actual.
All of them, every single one, player, because you can't play Game Pass unless you're paying.
Well, I mean, right? You know what I mean. Not from Game Pass itself. I'm saying like if they, I would even count the premium. $31, early one. I would count that as well as its own SKU.
Yeah, but, I mean, especially if you combine that with the 16 or whatever dollars you would have had to pay to get Game Pass at the same time, because then you're pretty close to full price at that point anyway.
Exactly. So I'm wondering what that breaks down to, and I know it's got to be pretty good. I would say. But as far as things go, I mean, I'm impressed with it. I'm happy for the success there when it comes to that. So shout out to Bethesda. Much love to God Howard, as they say, and the team. I mean, to me, it's an accomplishment because I love the game. Again, it's my game of the year. And that leads me to my discussion here, which is asking, can an 88, 86, respectively, rated game, can that be a game of the generation? And I had some mixed results there in my poll. A lot more of our Hoove brothers, if you will, tried to come in there and dismay the question. Oh, I've never given anything that's not a 90 game of the generation. It's like, oh, I have hoity-toity beliefs. You have to reach the 90. Listen, I believe Starfield is a 90+ game. I don't think it should be in the 80s, personally.
100%.
You know,
100%.
so I don't.
Joke.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't allow just these reviewers and these critics who we mentioned earlier in the show could absolutely be swayed by money to give, you know, and that can go both ways, to be fair. But I feel like I can't fully trust to give them that when my experiences have been the total opposite of what I'm reading. So, and at the end of the day, we're never going to fully rely on somebody else's thoughts to say what we think is whatever to us, right? But I think when it comes to the game of a generation, it kind of comes down to a consensus in general, right? Of fans. And a lot of people typically, for instance, in the 8th gen, landed at The Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2. I know I did, at least. To me, those were the games of the generation. So there were other questions in there. Well, how could it be the game of the generation? You got this coming out. You got Baldur's Gate. They love using Baldur's Gate as a little bludgeon, don't they?
Dude, Baldur's
Yeah,
Gate
they
is
do.
fucking. It's already done.
They
bro.
keep. So I hate the console war stuff, obviously, but it's so funny to me that they're like that the PlayStation side of the console wars right now is like Baldur's Gate is our game when like
Nobody's
It's
playing it.
Nobody's playing
like-
it. Nobody's sharing an image.
yeah, like nobody.
Nothing.
First of all, a very small number of people are actually playing on a PlayStation, and second of all, it's going to be on Xbox by the end of the year apparently. So like,
Yeah,
So what's
it's
even
a
the
short-lived
competition?
victory. Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
very short-lived victory.
It's not even a victory. The victory's over. Starfield is a way better game.
yeah, they patched out the
Unless-
horniness. Like, what else
unless
is?
Yeah, unless you love the horniness or you just happen to love CRPGs.
Give me
outside
my
of
bear
those
sex.
two Situation,
Yeah.
yo,
That's it.
I will
That's
say
it,
it
man.
does 100% look. It looks like a Daniel game. Like I guarantee I will love the hell out of that game when I play.
A Daniel game.
It looks like a Daniel game. I will play the shit
yeah,
out of
well,
that
if
game.
I like it, then you would have to like it because you actually like those games where I don't like those games. So
Yeah, I mean,
my buddy Casual, I mean, he loves it, man. I mean, even got my brother Kiryu to get into it with him and our other brother Dogpool, and they had been playing it, you know, 3-player co-op across the internet, and Kiryu was loving it. They were loving it too. So I am sure the game is great, and I do want to eventually play it. But it's just sad that I see people will try to use something else to deter the joy that we would get from something else. You know what I mean? It's like it's unnecessary. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Silent?
No, I'm agreeing with you guys.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, Dan, are you still going to enjoy that game as much now that they've patched out the horniness?
now they patched out the horniness. Well, the thing you don't understand about me is I've got mad risk for days, and so the horniness will come back the second I start playing it. So you really don't gotta worry.
You're on that blue. You're on that blue pill. I got
I'm
you.
on that blue shoe, baby.
Blue shoe.
All right.
oh my god,
That's fair.
Yeah.
I may want to see a doctor if it stays for 4 hours.
No, that's just how I live my life.
Just brag.
Always ready. I'm like,
I would
one blue chew at a time.
I'm like the
baby.
Coast Guard. I'm always on.
Listen up. I live my life turgid at all times.
I live my life one pill at a time.
That's my
Nothing
daily
else
vitamin.
matters
It's a
except
hard
for
It's your
family.
daily vitamins.
it's a hard knock life. And so am I.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
he has that, and he has his Flintstones in the morning, and that's it.
Yeah. I actually have
It's Flintstone
my
vitamins.
blue chew squished into the shape of Fred Flintstone. It
Oh my God.
it's entirely for aesthetic.
When he pops it,
Oh
he
my
says
God.
yabba dabba do.
I'm gonna do some stuff today.
Girl,
Oh my
I'm
God.
about to yabba dabba do you in tonight.
And she slides down the tail like the.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Yo,
how
we
to
are in
follow
the
that up.
direction.
I don't know where we went with
are
this.
quite the direction.
Man,
So
I-
anyway,
Scam,
Starfield, though.
Baldur's Gate
Video
3. See what
games.
happens?
I have to
Um,
step away, and I'm sitting here making puns. Listen,
I know. I'm about to say, where's you supposed to go?
right? You all threw me off. Listen, so my question to you guys and the guys in the chat, I want you all to give your real thoughts. If you have been playing the game of the year for me, Starfield, and you are loving it, or whatever you feel, share your thoughts and general thoughts in the chat right now. And I'm asking it of you fellas here. So I'll lead it going to Silent Cypher, and then we can move to C Money, and Danny, you can step in, and hopefully I'll be back by then to jump back in. I should be back by that second. But my question to you guys is, one, give the audience an explanation of what your journey has been like in Starfield so far, your likes and dislikes, and you can go as long or as short as you want. You don't have to go too crazy with it. And at the end of that, tell us what you feel on this game. Could it be a game of the generation, and what would it take for that to be the case for you? So, because I want to hear what you guys thought. Now, I'm going to have to go back and watch this on replay later to hear this, but I'm fine with that because I got to edit after the fact anyway. So I will let you guys do that, and I will be right back. Go ahead, get silent.
All right. Well, man, let me say for starters, right? Because we were talking about this right before we even got onto the show, but as far as the amount of time spent in the game, right? So I've just passed over 1 day's worth, so I'm right around like 25 hours ish, is where I'm at this point. Something we discovered really quick when we started talking earlier before the show is that we're all going in completely different directions, which is, to me, is nuts. The fact that I've already put in like 24, 25 hours in this game, and you're, like C-Money, Dan, like none of us are going necessarily in the exact same direction. Some of us have jumped on to completely different storylines. We're off just like living our own space life, our own best space life. There have been really cool moments so far, and it's like, if you asked me what a specific moment was, I don't think I really had one. Like last night when we did our show, I didn't necessarily have like one specific moment where I was like, this is the moment that I've loved in this game so far. But I actually did run into a moment that I loved, like right as we were starting the show, and I was finishing up a conversation that I was having before I had to pause earlier today. And there's some really cool moments in this game. I'm not going to do spoilers or anything, but there will be a couple things that I will note. One thing is, if you ever run into situations where you've got your NPC with you, you've got your teammate, and you're doing like a puzzle or anything like that, and it requires you to do it in a specific order, something I would tell you just right off the bat: tell your NPC, whether it be Sarah or whoever, to stay behind, because they can mess up the pattern if it's something where it requires you to go through a certain direction or anything like that. It's good to set them back in certain situations. It's great to have them as a pack mule to store a bunch of stuff for you when you're going around fighting. But sometimes it's better, like less is more with them. Like let them sit to the side, come back to them later. As far as like bugs and stuff like that, any occurrences I've run into, I've only had the game crash on me once over the 25 hours so far, which is awesome. And the system didn't even fully crash. It literally just kicked me back to the dashboard, and that was it. And the only time I had it crash was when I was on an Xbox. All the time I've been on PC, I've been good. The ROG Ally, I can't give a lot of detail on yet, because when I was talking to C-Money, Umbra, all these guys, there's maybe a couple drivers that I still need to get to make this thing playable the way that it needs to, or that it should be, right? So when that thing's kicked me out of the game, I can't really credit that against the game, because realistically, I think it's just me not having the hardware fully updated. But as far as my experience so far, like one crash, and then I did have one instance which I thought was kind of funny, was I had my mask on. I was on Mars, but I had just gone indoors, and when I was talking to Sarah, I noticed that she was talking to me like she still had her mask on, like she had her helmet on. And then when I took my helmet off, because I was like, oh, this will fix the audio, she was still talking to me like she had her helmet on. So, a very small, very subtle audio issue. That's literally like all I've had on this game so far, with the exception of one character I ran into during one of my storylines, which I sent C Money a photo of. I don't think I sent Umbra the photo, but
Uh-oh.
the character that I found looks straight up like Frau Farbissina from Austin Powers. It
Oh
looks
yes, you
like
did
it
send
looks
that.
like you
Yep.
snapped off the handle of a broom and just jammed a broom over someone's head. It is the roughest looking hair model I think I've found in the entire game. And it's so funny because it's like it's one of those characters where you actually do interact with them quite a bit. They're part of a decent sized storyline. I was like, dude, what happened? Like, like what did someone just update the wrong, the wrong visual file for this character? Like, what happened? Because most of the characters generally look really good, and this one looked like I was dealing with like the dollar store version of a Starfield character, which was really weird. But besides that, like I've had a phenomenal time with this game so far. The storyline that I just finished, which again, I won't go into spoilers, but what I just ended up doing on it, like it kind of like got me a little bit. Like when I finished it, like I felt like I had actually finished something. Shit got done, and I felt like accomplished, which is weird. Like it's I don't know if you know what I mean, but like it just feels kind of, I don't feel like I always run into these occurrences with a video game. Sometimes you fight a hard boss that you just have to keep banging your head into the wall over and over and over again, and then you finally beat it and you're like, this was awesome. I'll remember this. This is that type of experience, except for I wasn't pulling my hair out in the process. It just felt like it was a very engaging story. And the fact that this isn't even one of the main stories, or this isn't the main story that I just did, and it had that impact, like that resonates with me in a way that a lot of
wild.
games don't. And again, that brings back the idea of like, I don't know, especially with how little time I've put in this. Maybe the game turns into a complete garbage fire down the road, right? But from what I can tell, from the 25 hours I've spent, to give this game a 70, and I know it's just one person's opinion, but to give this game a 70 feels like a gross disservice. Because there's a lot going on in this game. Now, for the question of is this a generational game for me, or like a game of the year thing? I think unfortunately the problem we run into is scores are still held at such a high precedence that because of the scores it got, it will not see game of the year. Which, whatever. It is what it is. Like if it gets people to engage in this franchise and it becomes a thing down the road, whatever about the number, so be it. It is what it is. But game of the year definitely affects things. We've talked about this in the past, where like this affects bonuses, this affects, people's jobs. When these games come out, if they get reviewed at a low score, that does have effects more than just, oh, it's got a number attached to it. So I think that's where I get frustrated with some of these reviews that felt like they just weren't very honest, very earnest and sincere in what we saw. Again, it's a score, it's whatever. Personally, for me, I would give it, as of now, I would probably give it a 93, which is kind of where I was sitting originally when I was first looking at this game, and I was kind of guesstimating where it would land.
It's interesting you say that, because I was at a 94 to a 96. But I initially though, I said 88 to a 92 because I felt the media would do them over. But after we had that 45-minute demo at the over the summer, I'm like, no way. No, I'm thinking they'll be won over by this. They'll give it a fair review full of integrity. And that's not what we got, unfortunately. Yep.
Yeah.
We did not. We got pretty hard.
Yep.
And that's, again, like I said, that will affect a narrative like game of the year. I don't think it's fair considering how massive this game is and considering how everyone that's playing it and that's continued to go back to it, again, like you guys were talking about earlier, like New Game Plus, people going into that and being like, oh my God, this is a bigger thing. This is so much more expansive than I thought. To give it a score so early on with all of that just feels like it doesn't tell the whole story. And so hopefully this thing doesn't get dinged for that in regards to these type of conversations. But as far as the people playing the game at this point, based on just the conversations we've had, I think this thing ends up being a game of the generation no matter what score it gets, right? Because we've already had conversations that are so different from each other's experiences already. And it's not a situation where it's like, oh, my experience was this and it was horrible. It's always a glowing experience, and it's always something unique and something really cool. And I think that this thing will end up staying in the zeitgeist. Just it'll be in the conversation for such a long time because of how much there is to unpack.
So true.
But yeah, sorry, that was a really long way of saying I like the game.
Not to mention the mods that'll come with it eventually. You
Yes, and the mods.
Yep.
Yeah.
And DLC,
100%.
because they'll have expansions. I know one of them is already called, what is it, Shattered Space, I think it's called, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
it comes
technically
with
I've
the
already bought that
gold
one.
edition.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it comes
right.
with the-
That's right. We
comes
do
with
get
the
it.
premium.
Yep. Good point.
Yep.
So I don't know if you went into it, Cypher, but did you also speak on your positives and negatives of the game for you?
You did, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
he went through
Yeah.
it. Yep.
I'll have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
tune back in to catch those. But
I'll have to send you a photo in Twitter so you can see one of the things
look
I
at
refer
this
to.
photograph. All right. So, see, Money, what would you say to the question asked? Like, what would be some stories you want to share as what you've experienced? Anything that's not too spoilery for everybody, because I don't know if everybody's caught up to where we might be. And
Yeah.
but a general thing that's not a main story, I'm fine with. I don't care. Like, that's whatever. But and what would be your pluses and minuses? And do you think a game that's in the 88 to 86 range could be a game of the generation?
Yeah, no, for sure. So this is the thing, right? I was kind of like, I really, after seeing everything, I thought that the biased, reviewers were going to be able to look at it and be like, all right, this is not one of those games that we can be biased against. And obviously they proved us wrong. So I was like, nah, this is going to be like a 98, right? And I could tell you right now, for me personally, I'm like almost 20 hours into the game. It's between 15 and 19, depending on what number is correct. And I mean, I could easily say that this is my game of the year for sure. And then as far as game of the generation, I mean, it's definitely going to be the. See, this is the thing. I love Halo, right?
Uh-huh.
So anytime a Halo exists in any generation, that is my game of that generation. Okay, so when I talk about Starfield or any other game, it's always with the understanding that Halo means more to me than anything else, no matter what. Right? So Infinite is my shit. Love it with all my heart. So putting that aside, though, okay, just to get that out there, Starfield 100% will be my game of the generation outside of Halo. And it's just that good. And it's, again, like I might have said it here, but I know I've said it in many places. Like, I'm at the point in my life with games that I don't care what the zeitgeist is. I mean, I could have FOMO and that'll make me play it. Like, I'll try to play it. But if after I play it, it's not literally the thing that I want to play every time I grab a controller or I grab my ROG Ally or whatever it is, then I'm not going to play it. Like, I'm not going to force myself to have a mediocre time. Like, if I'm not truly in love with stuff. And it's not like there's nothing else that I could be playing, right? Because Baldur's Gate 3 is really good. I actually was loving that game. But I tell you right now, Starfield fucking put that shit into perspective, because turns out I really didn't love it. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you have like when you get married and you know how much you love your wife, right? Or your husband, right? But then you have your kid and they're like, holy shit, like I didn't even know that there was this type of love, right?
I don't
That's
love
what
you
happened.
anymore. I love the kids now.
No, I still love you. It's just different, right? This is a different type of love. Don't ever say that. Shut loud, dude. I love you, baby. Don't listen to this.
Doodle, that's not what he
Don't listen
told
to
me
this
behind the
shit.
scenes. He said I love the kids more now. Just want to make sure that you know that.
Oh,
No, let me
man.
stop.
That's funny. But nah, like that's what it is. Like I thought I was in love with Baldur's Gate 3, and then Starfield came in my life. It was like, oh shit, this is what love feels like. Like I love it so hard. Like I love everything about it. The actual like this is the thing about when you love something a lot, like the things, the flaws, right, don't really bother you, right? So like I know there was a whole big thing going around with like people's like their eyes are all bugged out, like the side characters that are just out, the NPCs that are walking around. Like I've never noticed that in the game because I've never looked too far into them. Like I wasn't trying to let me go step up to this random person, right? Like I was walking to my missions. I don't sit there and watch these people, right? So like that doesn't phase me. Graphically, I think outside of that area, like it's stunning. Like it is stunning. The amount of detail when you zoom in on anything, as far as not like those side characters, but like the environment, his suit. Oh, that's one of my favorite things about running in, third person. The amount of detail on this guy's, outfit is crazy. Like it's so good. I love the facial animation. I love it. When they're talking, I'm so enraptured. Like it's just like we're at they like setting this new bar for me with this. And again, BG3 has some great voice acting and great animation as well. But Starfield, it just hits all the right notes. I don't have anything that I could look at you and be like, I don't like it. As far as like the loading and stuff like that, I don't look at it as a problem. I look at it as a break for a second. Like all right, let me get myself together. I just got out of here. I'm gonna go here. It's a non-issue. It takes a hot, what 5 seconds to go ahead and load, and then
Yep.
you're back in the game.
Yeah, it's like
That was
5 or
another
8
thing.
seconds, maybe, I think.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
okay, guess what? Sometimes I want to take a little break to drink something or
Mhm.
maybe scroll the Twitter for a second, right? So it's really a non-issue for me, and I'm just looking forward to when I get to the next place that I'm loading into, right? And I have not even gone to like random planets yet. Like I've only done the missions, and I'm not even doing the main mission. I've been playing for 20 hours. I started the main mission because you always got to, you go to Constellation, you meet them, she comes with you. And then from there, you're kind of free to do the mission, do whatever you want. And I literally, a lot of people are like just getting into this mission, but the Crimson Fleet mission, I did like right at the beginning. Like that's where I still am. I've been playing it for, I don't know, 10 plus hours already. And it's amazing. Like it could be its own game, this freaking side mission. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy how good it is.
It really is.
Um
Let me ask you.
yeah, and
Let me ask
go
you.
ahead.
What about because I heard there was some much, in my opinion, much ado about nothing. Because like you, the little seconds you wait, like I get it. We are on this 9th gen. We want fast, super SSD power like the PlayStation have to move these games to the next dimension or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think when I saw some of the complaints, I didn't know if they were all genuine or if they were a little too unfair, I guess is the best way I could put it. Because it's like, yeah, they are loading screens for them moving to whatever, depending on where you're going. But it's minuscule. Like is
Yeah.
that really a thing to complain about? So in that same vein, I heard people complain about the over encumbrance, and maybe it's me. And
I don't get that.
and I don't want it to sound like I'm just defending the game on anything because I know how that can come off, right? And I'm not dismissing anybody who feels that way. What I would say though is, as veterans of playing Bethesda games, I expected that. So when I played it and they were like, "Oh, the over encumbrance," like it was slightly annoying, but it doesn't slow you down, so you can still run.
That's what I'm saying. That's the
It's
big
the
difference,
best
though.
it's been.
Like it's literally a non-issue. All it does is it makes you have to it drops your oxygen quicker, right? But if you're like me right now, I'm upgrading my character and I want to upgrade my weight, lifting so that I can carry more weight. Well, you got to be like 75% filled to the max anyway. So it doesn't really matter to me, you just run around, get it done, get your levels up. I think this is the thing. If you go into a game looking for the problems, you're gonna find them, right? There's no game that you can go into and not find an issue if you're looking for it,
I agree.
right? So let's take away the loading screen. Okay, so there's no loading screen, right? So what you're saying is instead of it loading for 8 seconds, you rather have flown the ship straight doing nothing for what, 5 hours or 4 hours or 3 hours to just get to where you were trying to get to anyway.
And that's another point that I felt like, and this is my thing too. When it comes to an Xbox game, and I get it because they've earned some of the slack over the years, right? I get it, or flack, if you will. I keep saying slack, but flack. But I feel
because that's your truth.
right.
Give them some flack. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like there is this over measure on Xbox side where they're judged more harshly. That's what it feels like to me, because it's like some of these things are not really worth. I wouldn't complain about this if it was PlayStation. So when I hear this on Xbox side, it's like, but is that really that big a deal? Like that? I don't know. That doesn't do anything for me. I'm not going to complain about that, honestly. Like,
because it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
it's not. It's just a false narrative that people want to hang on to so that they can find something to bitch about. Because the reality is that this game is fucking blowing minds.
It is, man.
Like, this game is amazing, dude. I don't care what console it is. There has not been a game this hyped. Like, this hype before and after. Like, the game is out. We've been playing it for a week, right? This game is everywhere and it's all encompassing. Like, people are obsessed with it. This is not like your God of War that people are excited to play, and then they play it and then it's like, all right, this was cool, and then we're on to the next thing. Right? Like, there's nothing about this moment that feels like it's slowing down. Like, all right, the game's out, now let's start thinking about Spider-Man. Like, no. Like, Spider-Man, dude, I have the Spider-Man PlayStation 5 that I bought in the brown box that it was sent to me, still sitting upstairs, just sitting there, just looking, because I have no interest. There's no desire in me to go open that and look at it. I don't care. I'm playing Starfield. That's the only thing that matters in this life right now of gaming, right? I can't. Maybe I sound like I'm some type of fanboy, but I'm really not, because I don't play games. Even the no matter what it is, first party game, don't make a difference. If I'm playing it and it doesn't call me, if it's not saying, yo, play this game right now, like, I won't do it. I won't do it. I got way too many kids, got way too much like shit to do. If I'm gonna play something, it has to be because it's something that I really am drawn to.
Yeah.
And this is that game, man. This is that game. I can't, like, I'm so enamored with it. The story, everything. The gunplay. Come on, yo. You play this game. The gunplay feels like this is not an RPG. It feels like we're just playing a first-person shooter.
I agree. Now, I wouldn't put it in the leagues of the Halos or the.
And it's not a Halo.
Apex,
it's not a Halo.
Call of
but
Duties, but it is solid. It is actually really solid. I agree with you.
I would say beneath Halo and Call of Duty, this is with everybody else.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And that actually surprised me a lot, because it's actually really well done. So I'm with you.
Fallout 4 was not like this. You know what I'm saying? It was a good attempt.
Yeah.
But like, your first person shooter reflexes didn't work the same in Fallout 4 like they do now. When you play this game, if you're good at a first person shooter, you're gonna light some shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really that good. So I'm just, what the only thing that gets me is the damn photo mode. And it's not that it's bad, it's phenomenal. The problem is that I see all of these like pictures on Twitter that are obviously people who are going in there and not only taking the picture, but like, doing some adjustments and all those places that you could do adjustments. And I don't know how to use any of that shit. God damn.
Some people are some people are savants with it. I've actually had some pretty good photos, I think, personally.
Well, yeah, I saw yours. Yeah, I was looking at yours. I was like, yo, that shit look dope. There's so many good pictures out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you could take good pictures stock, but like when you know what you're doing with that
Yeah.
shit.
I saw a few that was like, did you really do that in photo mode, or did you take that out and do something in Photoshop?
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm with you on that
seriously.
one. I saw a few too that made me like, hold on, how did you do that? So no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like we need some AI assistant photo.
Right.
You know what I'm
Help me
saying?
out, Chat GPT. But
Exactly.
you know, one thing that I will say too is that I've said this before, and I stick by that, knowing how well this worked in here. I think photo mode should be a staple in every first party game. Personally, I think it should be a
The photo
staple
mode
in
should be
every
what
game.
happens when you click the picture button on your remote.
Yeah.
When you click that
That'd be
button,
dope,
it
yeah.
should automatic any game, it should just boom, take you out. You press the button and you're in that camera mode, no matter what game you're playing.
That would
because
be
it
dope.
just doesn't make any sense.
I think though
It's the smartest
I think
thing.
it's not a hardware thing though. That's the problem. Like it's a software thing. So it's something they have to program.
Yeah, but if
in.
you mandate it,
Yeah.
if you mandate it and you made it part of your stack, right? So they can build it into their stack where the no matter what you do in the game, you press that button, it's gonna detach the camera from wherever it is and let you do it. And you just probably have to set some boundaries or whatever it is in your game so it doesn't go crazy. But
I would love it for all
do it.
games. Trust me, I'm with you because I love taking photos and what I'm doing in my journey and sharing it on Twitter or with other people, because I think that's part of the joy of it, right? Like a lot of people write it off. Oh, you like millennials where you take picture of your food. No, I don't think it's like that. I think this is a different type of thing altogether. And some people, you're gonna have the same experiences. No, you're not. Like as you pointed out,
really not.
Yeah, as you said, like this game here alone, as we all know, you're gonna have different experiences that not everybody's gonna have. I want to capture some of that. I want to capture what the beauty of what I see. Maybe you don't see it the way I see it, so it's okay. I think
That's the only way that's the only way people can see what you see.
That's
right?
exactly.
Because it's like, you know, I remember back in the day when you couldn't do it, right? And like people would just tell stories and like, man, you lying. That shit wasn't there. It happened. Now it's like,
Proof.
look at what I did or look at what I saw,
Yep.
and you got that proof.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Nah, dude, you know how many people have done pictures and none of them. I've not seen any picture that looks the same.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it.
Unique.
But I think
all unique.
I think though, in general, at the very least, the minimal thing should be that every first party game has photo mode. I will give Sony some credit here because I think they tend to do that. Their studios tend to do that a really good job with that. And I think Sony's DVR situation is better situated than Microsoft's. Hopefully, Microsoft improves there. They should be far ahead of them. I don't know why they're not, but
they need to get that.
But yeah,
like sorted out.
But man,
I would say though, for me, as far as the game's concerned, if I were to rate it, there's just no doubt in my mind. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Like it's my favorite game right now.
Favorite of the year for sure, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's not, and I loved a lot of the games that came out this year. Hogwarts was dope. Like I freaking loved Hogwarts.
Jedi, yep, absolutely.
Yep, Jedi Survivor, that was really good. Like there was just this year. I mean, people are like, I think a lot of the oldies are trying to defend 2007, and I feel you.
Yeah,
like I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like I was there.
I was there.
But I can say right now, you know, this year is I can't even think of a year that had as many bangers as this year. And this is from soup to nuts whole year. You know what I'm saying? Not just, we literally started with Hi-Fi Rush. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We started the year with Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah. And it's just been bangers throughout the year. The only one that was kind of like what happened was Redfall.
And we had 3 shadow drops this year from Xbox, by the way. Crazy good year for Xbox. I mean, we had Hi-Fi, like you said. We had what was it? Age of Empires 4, and of course Quake 2. So 3 shadow drops.
Yep.
Really good job by Xbox this year. We got more coming. I mean, Forza next month. So it's crazy good year. And then if you just look at Game Pass and what they brought to that, crazy good year. But I would have to say
there's still so many coming this year.
So many more.
This year's not even
October.
over,
October is about to be crazy.
October is what's gonna seal.
Yeah.
It being the best year in gaming. It'll
be up
There's
there.
no way, bro.
I'm still impartial to 2007.
Alan Wake 2 amongst the rest in October. You got Spider-Man 2, Alan
Mhm.
Wake 2.
Some
Then you're
crazy,
Starfield. Then you got the rest of the stuff that came out.
some
Come
heavy
on,
hitters, man, for a fact.
It's-
But
they're big ones.
let me ask you on that final question that before we can move to our brother Danny is generationally. What makes it that for you that and do you think this can be that? Because you said a 10 out of 10. Now, I'm not as lofty as a 10 out of 10, but the feeling I get, the joy I get is a 10 out of 10. But if I'm going to
Well,
be
but
discerning,
see
I'm going
that-
to give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay, but see, this is the thing, right? Your real answer is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is saying, well, I have
Being
to
critical.
look at it critically
Yeah.
and say it can't be a 10 out of 10 because this, and this.
Mhm.
But the reality is, who the fuck cares about this, and this when you just put 70, 80, 90,
Yeah.
100 hours into a game
Yeah.
in like a week?
Yeah.
homie?
That's
You
where
know what
I'm
I'm
at
saying?
right now.
Like,
I'm at least 80, probably close to like 75, I would say probably right now.
Damn.
So you see, like that's the shit that gets me, right? Like obviously I have my channel and we talk about games and do other stuff, but like I don't man, how do I say that? I really don't give a shit about reviewing something critically.
Yeah.
I care about what do I feel about the game when I'm playing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? What does it make me want to play it, and how long does it make me want to play it for? Like, is it something that the first couple days I'm all in and I'm like, all right, I had my fill and I'm done? Or is it something that I'm putting 20, 30, 40, 50 hours in and like, holy shit, like I still want to keep playing it, right? Like that's what matters, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the feeling. I understand reviewers, they're out here, they have to, be critical, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like fuck what everybody else says. You know what I'm saying? It's
No,
like, what do you feel?
I agree with
And
you.
it's a 10, homie.
Now,
It is a 10.
the only reason I say that is because in our feelings, right? Like we could say, yeah, I'll overlook those things. To me, I'm with you there where I'm not going to hold something as small as, I don't know, inventory management or something like that, because that was one of the things, the quality of life. I do get that complaint because what they do here feels a little outdated. However, once you get a hold to that and you understand what you're doing and navigating these menus, it becomes second nature. You don't even think about it anymore. That's how nothing that complaint is to me, because once you really get into this game, you understand exactly how to navigate this menu. Now, what I would say is,
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who does this amount of shit to put in your inventory?
nobody. That's
Right, like, who
that's
we
why I
comparing
give
it
it such.
to? You know what I'm saying?
See,
Like,
that's
how
and that's
can
why I
you
love
say
it.
it seems antiquated. Nobody has shit that you put in your inventory like that.
Well, even with that
Who the
complaint,
hell-
right?
who-
Even with that complaint,
Like
Hargeet made a
4,000
good
forks
point.
in your inventory and shit.
True, but Hargeet made a good point. I don't know if you all heard it the other day because he was on Booms and he made a good point where I think it was maybe RDX or Booms. He said people talk about this menu system and complain that it's antiquated or whatever. What about Resident Evil? That's the same old menu they've been using all this time, and you don't complain about
Now,
that.
that one's fucked.
So I think that's fair. Now, I would say Resident Evil is easier to navigate. However, you talk about over encumbrance. It's over encumbrance too, just in a different way. Like you can't put but so much inside that inventory versus what you can store hundreds of things inside your inventory in this game and still run around. I've been over encumbered rather by like 600 pounds or whatever, however you want to measure that, kilograms, however they
You're
say
still
it in the game.
running.
And still running.
Still
Now,
running, still jumping,
Yeah.
still flying. You're
so
good.
is it really an issue? But my thing is, if I'm going to be super, like, if I have to be critical, because I feel like you still have to give a critical eye. The reason why I'm going to land at a 9 out of 10 is because some things I think they could have done a bit better at, and it's not the menus. That does nothing from that's a like whatever. I would want them to improve on that, but it's like whatever. Like I said, you learn that it's second nature. What I would complain about, and I'll get to mine later. I'm not even going to go into it. Matter of fact, let me shut up. So because we got to get through this, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Because I'm about to dive in. I'm like, what about Danny? I got to get to Danny. So generationally, do you think this is a generational game for sure?
Yeah, for me, for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if you said that for him or me.
That was for
Yeah,
you.
I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah.
That was for me. Yeah,
And
I
by-
thought you were finishing up with me.
And I'll go to Danny now, but I do want to point out that I said 75 hours. This is how entrenched I have been in this world. I am 4 days, 1 hour, and 38 minutes. I am 97 hours and 38 minutes into this game.
Oof.
and that's how you just get lost into doing what you're doing.
That's a 10 out of 10 right there, homie.
Absolutely, 10 out of 10
10
experience for a
right there.
fact. 97
Absolutely,
hours, almost 100 hours
That's
already.
crazy.
And I'm playing at home and I'm playing on a go on my ROG Ally. That's how much this game has me in a grip. But Danny, brother, what would you say to those questions? And for anybody else who just joined us, like our brother Splendiference or Bunty, welcome to the podcast. And if you haven't done so, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't as well. And so the question to you guys that joined us is, with Starfield being on the rise as it is, and everybody's starting to enjoy it now because it's just released worldwide on the 6th for everybody to enjoy it like we are, what would you call this game a generational game? And maybe those who have just started can't really jump and say that, but we can.
Yeah.
But would you consider this to be a generational game? And that could be your last answer. But the first two questions would be, what has been your experience in this? Positives and negatives, and what would be your overall takeaway score if you had to rate it right now? And I know Danny, you haven't put as much time, but
I put very little time in
Yeah.
compared to you guys. So I don't know that I can say whether or not it's a generational game. I mean, I'm enjoying it so far, but yeah, like I feel like I've barely touched it at this point. So I don't know that I feel comfortable saying that it's generational. I think it has. If the question of could a game that has reviewed like 88 or 86 or whatever it is, could that be a generational game? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the idea of like what is and is not a generational game, or what is or is not a good game even, is just like incredibly subjective. And so something that is a generational game for one person is probably not for other people. Like I mean, everyone keeps telling me that Tears of the Kingdom is like one of the best games ever made, and I just don't get it. They don't get it. And like, you know, that's me. Like the majority of people disagree with me, so I am the one who is the odd man out here. So
It's just this next step of Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was amazing. This was more.
See, I don't even know if I would agree with that. That's the thing.
Oh damn! All right, well that one. I'll just
Yeah.
back. I'll sit back
there
over here,
with
no
you,
problem.
Daniel.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you know that you're defending somebody who is in the gutter out here. I'm just out here swimming with the trash rats.
I can't help you with that one.
Yeah, you know, it's
But this how you
but
know
yeah,
Zelda
so-
is really good is because I hate Zelda. Every game, I never played them. I couldn't stand
Yeah.
them. They were boring to me. Couldn't. Breath of the Wild, loved it with all my heart. So
yeah. I see. Those are
It's
the only ones
something.
I've ever played is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and both of them I'm like, yeah, this is a video game, I guess.
I love it. You love to
where's
see
Mr.
it.
Joanna Dark when you need him so he can count?
Joanna,
his
am I
sound?
summoning
he can-
Joanna Dark?
Nah, he can sit in his corner. I don't care about his Zelda opinion.
I apologize. But yeah, no, Starfield, I'm enjoying it a lot so far. I still haven't put as much time into it as I would like to, or honestly, even a particularly large amount of time at all. To put it into context, I like just finished the first time you go to New Atlantis, and I went off to Mars because that's where one of my quests took me. So that's where I'm at now. I've put maybe 5-6 hours in, like just not a ton. But I'm really I think when you really boil it down to brass tacks on like a mechanical level, I think this is probably the best game that Bethesda has ever made. I don't know that it'll boil out as being my favorite Bethesda game because I am super invested in the universes of like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and I don't know that Starfield's world has grabbed me as much, at least not yet. So that is, you know, inherently a biased thing. But I'm certainly excited to see where it goes from here. I've been really interested in seeing all the different like cultures and factions, and I feel like I haven't experienced a lot of that yet. Basically, the only group that I've interacted with on any meaningful level has been the UC, and they're fine. Like they kind of strike me as just like almost like the vanilla faction, where it's like this is exactly what you would expect from just like a boilerplate like normal group of people. And I assume that there'll be more depth to that later, because I'm already starting to see things where like I go down to the well in New Atlantis, and there's like all this graffiti about like the UC actually being terrible, and so I'm sure that there's a lot of like depth and stuff there right now, but I'm very surface level at the moment. So I don't really have a ton to say on that, I guess. In terms of gameplay, I really enjoy the shooting. I think it's I think mechanically the action of this game is the best that any game of this size has ever been. I think that people who are comparing this game to No Man's Sky are incredibly disingenuous. The two games are completely different genres. Like, I think the comparisons between No Man's Sky and Starfield end at they are both in space and you collect minerals. I think beyond that, they are completely different games.
Agreed.
Like, No Man's Sky is a survival game, and this is a very, very hardcore RPG with like choice and lock picking and speech options and all this stuff, which is just not No Man's Sky at all. So I think people who are making that comparison are just maybe very surface level, or just like don't have that critical eye. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's one that's been bothering me a lot. In terms of negatives for the game, I've only come across a couple so far that have been annoying me. I don't really love the UI of it. I know that's been a common thing. And I know that it's sort of controversial. I don't think the map is good, and I know that the argument against it has been like, yes, but it's equally as bad as the previous games, and I'm like, that's true, but it's still not great. Right. Like, I'd be perfectly fine with the map of like the full planet being the way it is, where it's just dots. But once I'm in a city, I would really like to have like a local map to show me sort of streets and like where these stores are, maybe, because I got lost in New Atlantis a couple of times and didn't really know what I was doing. Apparently you get a scanner later on, but I don't think I have it yet, so I don't know how to get anywhere.
Oh, scanner? Like, you start off with a scanner though.
Oh, then I do not know how to use it. Because I've been seeing gameplay where you like pull up a thing,
yeah, you press,
and it like scans and it'll like show you like points of interest, and I do not know how to do that.
That's LB. You press LB, but to be fair, I don't know if LB would actually show you where a store is. It'll show you where your mission is. It'll put like a little arrows if you're on a mission.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's like the clairvoyant spell in Skyrim.
Yeah, pretty much.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I think it does have some weird load screens, not the ones that people have been complaining about. Like the people complain about like the load screens when you go from one planet to another, and I guess I understand that on some level. I wish that it was just you did your fast traveling exclusively from the cockpit. I think that would be nicer. And if it was just like you go to the cockpit and then they do like the Star Wars like star wipe thing, and then, or not star wipe, that's a editing thing, but you know what I mean, where like the stars turn into the lines, and then like you show up in the new place, and like the part where it's the lines is the loading screen. I think that would be cleaner.
Yeah, the way they warp when you warp to a new area.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, that one doesn't bother me because you're loading literally an entire another planet. The one that does confuse me is when I was on New Atlantis, I had to go through a loading screen to go into a one-room clothing store, and I was like, what is happening here? Why?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah,
I was like, what's the point of that? But all right, whatever.
Like when I see that, my thought goes to it must be a technical limitation where they had
it's got to be something. Yeah. I don't know, but I definitely hit that, and I was like, and like the loading screen was like maybe a second.
Yeah,
like,
it didn't long, but yeah,
it was just long enough for me to go, huh? Yeah, it's in the story.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. That gets weird, but it's not enough to hurt.
No, not really.
Yeah.
The one that does annoy me more than anything else is that it seems like the loot on enemies is random. Like, it's not how it was in Fallout or Skyrim, where you like, if you see a helmet on a guy and you kill him, that he will drop it. It seems like now there's just like a chance that he'll drop it, because I definitely killed a pirate because I wanted his helmet, and did not get the helmet. And I was like, what the hell?
Really? Like, I think I've gotten it.
Yeah,
like pretty much every armor piece, or I keep calling it armor,
yeah,
it really is armor.
You get them
today, but
yeah, you do get them pretty often.
Yeah.
But yeah, like even that opening section where the mine gets attacked by the pirates, when I was going through their loot, it would be like, oh, this guy has a helmet, but he doesn't have the suit, and like this guy has his gun, but none of the other guys had their gun.
That's
and I'm
true.
Like, I don't know what's
I have seen that. That I have noticed. Like, if you kill them, they won't get the full thing necessarily. You might get a piece.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what that's all about. I hope that that's not the case for like unique drops. I would hope that like if there's that I get his stuff, because I would be really disappointed if I saw like some cool space hero guy, and I dropped him and took his, and like opened up his inventory, and all he had was like a med pack or something. I'd be
I've had that happen before, actually.
I've had that happen. I would just reload the save until it dropped. Like, there's no way.
You could, really? Yeah, you could save scum. Like, that, to be fair, you could absolutely.
I would save scum for loot, 100%.
Yeah, that actually is not a bad idea, and it's a trick, by the way. If you all don't know, that if you load into a place on very hard, because you get the best loot on very hard, And it can be challenging very hard, by the way, especially like the dog fights. They actually kick my ass on very hard in dog fights sometimes. But if you load into an area on very hard, you can then trick the system by putting it to normal or like very easy, for instance, after you land and get into that area or go into a dungeon essentially. And you can still get that legendary loot drops, just so you'll know.
That's good to know. I didn't know that the difficulty affected loot. I feel like that's not been the case in previous. Actually, I don't even know if Fallout had a difficulty other than like the survival mode that New Vegas had. I genuinely could not tell you if that is if those ones have difficulty modes. But yeah, that's just something that's been bothering me a little bit. I live in constant fear that I'll kill some guy and not get the cool loot that I want from him.
Keep your saves on deck, and
so I'm just gonna be saving like every time.
Yeah, you go. I would
every time before I
set your auto saves to 5 minutes on pause to do that too, so to save yourself some trouble.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's weird. Yeah, so that's something that I really don't like. I'm really excited to see sort of where this story goes, because I've barely scratched the surface, and I'm getting a little interested in it. Where I'm like, this is setting up a lot of potential interesting things, because the thing that I love the most in Fallout and Skyrim is sort of meeting these different cultures and groups of people and understanding like what they do and interacting with them and seeing like the relationships between them. And I haven't gotten to that point in Starfield yet. Like I said, the only group that I've interacted with is the UC, and so I'm really interested to see like, what is the Freestar Collective like? I know that they dress like cowboys, but aside from that, I don't really know anything about them. I hear that there's these snake guys out there, and they seem awful. I don't want to hang out with those dudes. So
they are very
I'm really excited to see. Suspicious.
You know what? Real quick, has anybody messed with like the religions, like the snake people?
I haven't yet.
The enlightening or anything like that.
The enlightening. I've seen it
from them.
I steer clear too, but I feel like I will go to it eventually. And on my first playthrough, I'm being like kind of a goody two shoes mostly. So my second playthrough, when I do like a new game plus, I'm going to be like very villainous. I can tell you right now. But no, I definitely get a lot of those.
Like an evil playthrough.
Yeah, sure. We got to. I think we owe it to ourselves to do that. I want to point out that our brother Tevin donated $5. Thank you, Tevin. He says, "Great show. Appreciate that."
Thanks, Tevin.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. For anybody else that's new here, if you haven't done so, please hit the like button. Donnie says, you couldn't call up Michael Vick to help you win the dog fight. Too soon.
I think what here's my plan for Starfield right now is I think that, because I keep hearing that the new game plus is like revolutionary and some like crazy awesome thing.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna do like one of the factions and play that through and just be like, I'm the UC guy this time or whatever. I'll probably do Freestar because Cowboys are awesome. And then I'll play through the main mission and new game plus it, and then do it again from one of the other factions. I think that's my plan right now. Hopefully that's not a bad way to do it.
No, I think it's okay. Like I did the Freestar Collective. I did that the other day, and it was pretty good. It was actually really interesting. I enjoyed it. And don't forget too, by the way, to collect the bounty missions inside of the those locations that you're going in. It's like, for instance, for the Freestar, you'll have a computer board inside of the main office area. You click on that to get like other side missions as a ranger, for instance, and get those and do those too. I did all of them, and you get a really good prize.
You did the Freestar stuff?
Yeah, you get a good prize.
Dude, I haven't even gotten there, bro.
Yeah, I haven't met a Freestar guy yet. Well, I'm sorry, I met one guy who was like trying to get into New Atlantis, and they're like, "Your visa's been revoked," or like some nonsense, and he couldn't get into the town because they were just fully corpoing him right at the spaceport, and he's like, "All right."
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah,
I
they were
didn't
just
come
not
across
letting
that.
him in. Yeah, I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah. The other thing,
even the guy only 5 hours in is doing things that
exactly.
Yeah, I did a like low grade art heist also. That apparently people haven't been doing. Because I walked into one of the stores and there was some like creep ass bald guy who was like, "Hey, can you go pick up my art from the lockup or whatever?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, dude, no problem." And I went down there and the lady was like, "Here's your art, wink. I changed the ownership, wink." And I was like, "Bro, did I just steal? Am I a mule right now? What's happening?"
Oh wow, I never had that happen either. Actually, I don't even know like where you would have that happen at. That's interesting.
Well, because I was looking for so when you first land in New Atlantis, there's this guy who's like standing at the foot of your ship,
Yeah, the
and
doc.
he's like the dock guy, and you can like buy boats or buy ships from him,
Yep.
and I think repair.
Yep.
And he was like, "I'll be in my kiosk or whatever down the ramp," and I went down and I could not find him. I was looking around forever, and I just found all these other things instead. Like I found some lady who runs like a coffee shop, and she was like, "Hey, they impounded the like plant from some alien planet that I was going to dump into my coffee to make it really good. Can you go get that for me?" It's like, yeah, I guess. I'm heading that way to steal some art anyway, so I may as well.
Yeah, right.
And there's some cool ass bounty hunter there that was called like the Hunter.
Oh,
I think, or something.
And that crazy. See, listen.
Is he like later on in the story? Because he was like, "I'll see you later," and I was like, "I bet you will, dude."
I was telling some friends about that yesterday. I only just saw him yesterday, finally in the New Atlantis, and he jumped off like a landing from high above and landed in a crowd of like NPCs. I'm like, who is this?
Oh, yeah, that was not the case for me. My homie was sitting in the coffee shop drinking a coffee.
With a mask on.
He was just chilling, drinking a coffee.
He's imitating that he's sipping it. But he jumped off, landed in the NPCs, and I looked over, I'm like, oh, that armor is badass. Like, who is this?
Yeah.
So I went over to him, it was like the Hunter, and he was like, oh, most people avoid me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, look at this guy. So I think he's going to play some type of important role later in the game for sure. Because I met him twice now in different galaxies. He has to have some type of importance to whatever like little, little tidbit or whatever it is. I think it plays into in game somehow. And I won't say why I think that because I don't want to give anything away, but I think it does some way. But that's really cool, man. And that's the one thing I really appreciate about Bethesda games. It's like, we keep saying it, but it's true. Like, you have so many different things that can happen, even in your shorter time I hadn't experienced yet. And you know what I mean? So you're going to get so much that's going to come your way that not everybody is going to have happen with them. But everything you get, and a lot of what you get, I'm not going to say everything, a lot of what you get is very memorable or, leaves an impression on you. But so I do agree with you on a generational thing, by the way. If right now, if I had to pull your arm, so to speak, what would you say your rating is currently?
Oh man,
Starfield?
I don't know. I
Don't say 7.
it's a 6. I actually hated it the whole time. Man, I don't know. I don't feel like I'd be confident giving it a 9 at the moment, just because the stuff that I've been very surface level so far, and pretty much everything I've done has been tutorials. So like I haven't seen anything particularly cool.
Yeah.
But I think I'm pretty comfortable at like an 8.5, just because like I haven't done any of the cool stuff yet. So right now I'm just like, this is a good game. Like I'm really enjoying my time with it. But it hasn't really like exceeded my expectations yet. Because I literally have barely done anything.
Yeah.
I'm boondoggling real hard.
Yeah, no, I'm with
man.
you. I get you. I understand how you feel on that. So I'll lead into mine because we do have to kind of wrap this up. But it's interesting.
The thing was short. The thing was short.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. Like, but my thing is that I take away from this game, and it's like you were pointing out earlier, C Money. It's like where you pointed out that it's a 10 out of 10 experience for me for sure. It's hard to pull this game down. I'm going to be honest with you. It's got me so caught up that I neglected my podcast duties today. That's how much it's got me. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll do it later, I guess. I don't know. Let me keep playing. Like, that's how good this game is. And I don't say that because a lot of people, when you say these types of things, they're like, oh, you just saying it because it's Xbox or whatever. That's how a lot of people go to the cynical. And I don't deal with the cynical because I'm an optimist by nature. Not Optimus Prime, though. No, he's my cousin. But my thing, my takeaway from this game is there are so many things that they do right. So when I see people giving a review and they're critical, it's like, how did you only focus on those few negative things that you're talking about so much that you're like, they did this, they did that, and it didn't do that. But you're not praising the things that they're doing that other games absolutely do not do. And that's where my issue comes up with when it comes to reviews, and I'm not saying a game needs to be a 9 from them, but I think there needs to be a restructuring of how they look at games. and judge them, because it should not be led with negative. It should be led with what you liked, because that's what we're in this for. This is our hobby. We play games because we love games. So I want to hear your love first. I want to hear that, and then you tell me what gripes you had and what they could improve on. I think that makes the most sense to me. Now, I can't dictate that to anyone else, but that's how I feel it should be, and it shouldn't be led with negatives, and it shouldn't be nitpicked to death, because every game is going to come short if that's the case. Every game in existence.
Yep.
And I actually had somebody on that tweet where I asked, can it be a generational game? They said literally, I kid you not, a game would have to be unquestionably flawless. They wrote. I said, what? Like, how could that be? The game would be perfect, literally, a 10 out of 10 across the board. No game in existence is perfect. So how can it be unquestionably flawless? So that's why I say people put this lofty expectation, I think, on Xbox that they I don't think they're cognizant of, and I think that has to stop. So for me, in my experience in this, so many different things, so many things that happened that I can't even remember them all to actually detail it. But a few things that I can think of is meeting that bounty guy, the hunter, and how I believe that's going to play into in-game somehow, because that armor, I think I saw it in a thumbnail somewhere, but I'm not going to go into detail. But I want that armor. I was so tempted to murder him in cold blood to take it, but I had Sarah with me, who I'm trying to wife up, and I'm like, okay, I can't murder you. Also, I'm in the middle of New Atlantis, and I don't want them bounty on my head for me murdering this guy. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, there's nonstop cops in this town.
Exactly. And I'm right there. They're right there by the port area, by that coffee shop area too. So I would be in trouble. So, I didn't want to do it. But a lot of things that I love about this is that, and if you have like ADHD, this game is going to be tough for you, because you're going to be playing one thing, and then you're going to be drawn to the next thing. Then you're going to be drawn to the next thing. And then you're going to forget why you even came to this thing and go back to doing something else. I have had that experience so much, from exploration to jumping into a mission randomly, to coming across somebody who hailed me in space that wanted to talk about whatever. And that's one of my other interesting ones. I had a bounty hunter guy who hit me up and hailed me in space and was like, yeah, get your bounty up real nice. Yeah. So he was like taunting me.
When does that happen? Because I haven't run into anybody in space yet other than people scanning me for contraband. Does it happen like when you first get into the bubble around a planet, or when does it happen?
It happens when you pretty much when you jump into a new system, almost all the time, because
I've only done that like 3 times yet.
Yeah,
I haven't had it yet, but it's all been tutorial stuff so far.
And you've been jumping into like controlled areas where it's like actual like policing. So if you go into the more uncharted spots, I guess you could say, the ones that's not controlled by like UC or Freestar Collective, you'll come across the more rebellious space areas. That's where you'll find the pirates out there. You'll find the spacers and such, and those will be the people that try to attack you. And that's when you'll have that happen, where they might hail you and say something and threaten you for like credits. They'll say, hey, give me this, and they'll let you go, right? Like, I'm not giving you a thing. You're going to have to get it in blood. But no, that happens, right? So the more you explore, the more you'll have that happen. And I'll caution again. If you put this thing on her very hard, and it's like 3 or 4 ships on your ass, they're probably going to kill you. I'm just going to tell you, because they're tough. The way you fight on here is tough. One thing, a positive I will give the game too, is that I actually really do enjoy the dog fights. I think they're really, really good. But you know what is a negative of those dog fights? And I was listening to our brother Gaz, and he had Gene Park on his show this past week, and he made a good point, and I felt the same way. When you're in space and you're having these dog fights, the only issue I have, and I know we had Alana Pierce flew 7 hours to get to Pluto, which was impressive as hell, and credit to her for doing that. And even though people are like, well, the planet wasn't really there. I don't care.
Yeah, hey, they didn't think that you would want to drive for 7 hours in one direction.
Right. What are we focusing on here? Like that, or the fact that 7 hours of travel will actually get you to where it's at, even though you can't quite land on it or touch it or whatever. So, but one of the gripes I would have, and it's not, I don't think it's inconsequential, because I would hope that in the next one, the sequel or whatever, they improve on this. The very limited area you have in space where you're piloting and fighting, it's kind of in this small bubble. I would have liked it more. And like if you play something like Chorus, or if you play something like Everspace 2, you have and I know those games are meant specifically for that. And this game is doing so much. I'm not going to hold this against Starfield. It's just something that I feel they could have done more in. And so I don't take it as like, oh, that was terrible. It's just they could have done more in this, because I feel like they could have made space much more gamified outside of the dogfights. Like they could have had you actually traveling through little broken up asteroids and such, fighting and such like that goes further out into space. They could have let you get a little bit closer to the planet, toward the atmosphere when you fight, maybe not getting into it, but closer. Like they could have done a few other things, I think, to actually expand on that. But I'm not mad at it. I just hope that in the sequel they go further. You know what I mean? But something like that. But the positives I have, briefly, and I'm going to try to wrap this up really quick. So the gun combat, like we pointed out, the gun combat is really, really well done. The view of this world is so beautiful. See, Money, you hit it on the head when you pointed out the detailing of the world. I am so surprised that, and if you all heard me before, some shows back, I said I wish they would have gone with Unreal Engine 5. But of course, I love Unreal Engine, so I'm going to shield for it. But my thing is that I look at Creation Engine and it's like, yeah, but that thing is really outdated. Like I would really love for
but this is Creation Engine 2. Like it is a new
it is. It's a new iteration, but it still is Creation Engine, right? So, and because of that, that's why we get the bugs that people talk about. The bug that's because of the Creation Engine. It leads to that because there's so much experimentation you can do. You could do more in Creation than you can in other engines too. So it's credit. Like I've seen people who would grab something and so they wouldn't steal in front of people, knock something over into a bucket, for instance. They knock credits over and then drug it somewhere where people didn't see it.
Is that what he did?
That's exactly what he did. If you all don't know how to do that. Yep. There was Shinobi. I don't know if he did it or if it was somebody else.
Or maybe he posted somebody else.
Exactly.
I was like, what is he trying to do?
So,
like I saw what he did, and I was like, so that's why, so that they wouldn't see that he stole it.
Because if you were in that planet, it's called the I think it's called the Red Mile or the Mile or whatever. And it's like a competition thing. So you get to that planet and it's like a casino kind of like setup, right? And on the tables, they have all those credits stacked up. This guy got a little cupboard or whatever he grabbed and had a basket. And he started knocking the credits over into the basket. And then after he did that, he dragged the basket away out of everybody's eyesight and then stole all the credits. I'm like, how clever.
That's wild.
And if you don't know how to do that, you hold down the action button. For me, I switch my control buttons. I don't like jump being Y. That's weird to me. So jump for me is A. X is action. So I press X. I would hold X or whatever it may be. And Y is to reload and switch or whatever. No, not to switch, but to reload. It makes the most sense. And if you hold the button, you can grab something and drag it and move it around. So you all would know. So experiment with that. And that's the beautiful thing about the game, because you got so much you can do. You got so much you can do in this game. So when I see that and I see the breadth of what you can do and I see the ambition, this is why I say you cannot rate this game a 7 out of 10 based on all the great things this game does right. And how can you properly grade it with only a few days or, like some of these clowns, 5 hours of time? You can't. It's impossible to.
Make any sense, man.
It doesn't make any sense to do that. It's just unfair, and it should not be counted. So that's the thing that really gets me. And then I had so many encounters. One thing I'll also add is, at first I was kind of like, the facial animations didn't really do it for me. No, but the more I got into it, the more I started to look. I was like, no, this is actually really good, especially for a Bethesda title. This is the best looking Bethesda title they've ever had. Period. Like by far. Like it is visually stunning. Like I've seen some things.
Yeah, it is.
I was just sit there like, damn, like this is beautiful. And I know when something has me, and when I'm thinking in my head, like, well, can I put a video montage together? So it's a very few games that get me like that. And this is one of them. And I'm going to put some music to it and like Space Oddity or something. I'm going to do something. I post it to YouTube or to Twitter rather. I can't put it on YouTube. I'll get demonetized. But so true. But it's just crazy how so many things, and it's kind of hard for me to unpack it properly because it's like, how do I express my joy best to you all? I don't know how I can do that. I really don't, outside of saying some of the things you're going to hear over and over, which is, oh, I love that you could do this or the gunplay. But my internal joy is something else that I can't properly express to you all, except to say that this game touches me, and not inappropriately either, in a place where where I only felt this type of thing when I was a young boy, like when I first were playing like Mario or Sonic, and you sit there in wonderment and your eyes glued to the TV and you're just sitting there loving it. And this is what this game has done for me, where I'm losing track of time and I'm losing track of actual priorities in life. So that's the best compliment I can give it. And if, as far as generational, I agree with you, Danny. It's something being a 70. I've seen some people point out, I think Tryhard said his game of the generation. He mentioned it on my thread. I forgot what it was. So Tryhard, if you're still inside the chat, post what you said your generational game was. But he said his generational game was something that I think was in the 70s, maybe, like rated.
Yeah.
So it comes down to your individual view too, but I tend to look at it as what is a general consensus. And I think there are enough people who will, at the end of the day, once the smoke is all settled and the dust settles down, I think they're going to see this much in the same way that they see in Oblivion or as they see in Skyrim. I think it will be a generational game. And even factually, it will be generational because it's going to go on for so long. I think they're going to continue extending this well into the next console cycle, where you're going to have expansions and such, and mods and things of that nature. It's like we're really at the tip of the iceberg here with this game, honestly. That's the craziest part about it.
Well, and at the point that I looked at the Metacritic, which I'm sure some other people have filtered in since I did, because it was like day one when I looked at it. But at the point that I looked at it, like 30 reviews were 90 or above.
Mm-hmm.
So like the majority of people think that it is an amazing game. It's just that there's a couple of people who got to be in their bonnet and gave it a 5 or whatever it was after like 2 hours of playing it. Like just some absolute ridiculous stuff going on out in these streets.
Absolutely.
But I really love it.
And like Splendiferous pointed out, I think that's where they might go with it. They got the Elder Scrolls Online. Why wouldn't they go to Starfield Online? I could see that. And I think, actually, being honest, I think this world actually lends itself exactly to an MMO. I think if they handled this, but obviously better than, Fallout 76.
Yeah, I think if they want to do that, they're gonna have to expand it a little bit, because like clearly I don't know what I'm talking about exactly.
Yeah.
But like if this ends with like, and here's some alien species who are in stars that we didn't see before, then like I could totally see that. But I think for it to be an MMO, you can't just be like, I'm a human in a cowboy hat. I'm a human who loves snakes.
I'm a human.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. But that said, folks, we have to close this out because I have to get going myself, and everybody has to get going. But if our love for Starfield isn't clear, trust is there. And I do. We have something coming up on the 21st with our brother Shane Bailey, who's running a cancer. What's the word I want to use here? I almost said campaign, but he's doing a campaign.
Like a fundraiser.
Fundraiser. There you go. He's doing a fundraiser and charity, if you will, for cancer. I just opened up an image that Silent Cypher sent me.
Not the right time, bro.
What?
I didn't send
Cypher, what did you do? What have you done?
This lady's haircut. And he said,
is it the? Oh no,
dude. Yeah, so that's what I was saying, right? Is like generally I haven't had any graphical concerns, but that was one of those ones where I came across it and I was like, come on, guys, like really? Right. What are we doing?
Yeah, but anyway, so beyond that, thank you everybody for being here. But on the 21st, like I said, I want to go more in depth, so I probably will have more people, more content creators to try to come through, because I want to make it kind of our official review. And I haven't beaten the game yet. I'm getting there, but I've been sidetracked doing so many different things, thousands of different things at once, that I have to kind of get my stuff in order of what I want to tackle first. But I want to then have a more official review, a roundtable kind of review at that point. And at that point, all of us will have had more time to probably finish it by then. So I think we can get a more fair response, like on where everybody stands. But if I had to rate it now, if I was forced to, gun at the head, definitely a 9 out of 10 for me, and a 10 out of 10 experience for sure. C Money. So
There you go.
but
I was just waiting for it. I was like, 10 out of 10, bro.
10 out of 10 experience. But so thank you all for being here again, and we're going to wrap this up. And I want to thank rather C Money and Silent Cypher for being here with us tonight. Appreciate you guys. And so C Money, where can people find you, brother? And I know you have a few new shows going on, and you had one with our brother Boom the other day. So tell folks about that and where they can find you.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. Well, first of all, thanks guys for having me on. I love coming to the show. It's a blast. We have a good time here. So I really, really do appreciate it. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in my name, it's a little different now. So we're no longer Mario Kart Madman. We have rebranded because we don't want to keep explaining to people that it's not Nintendo. So our new name is On Point for Gamers. And we do have timed shows now, like shows that have time slots. So the one that Umbra was just talking about, we started a new show. It's called Her, Him, and a Guest. It's the first time we've ever had guests come to our channel. We normally just always have our own stuff going on. So this is really cool. Boom was gracious enough to be the first guest that we had. That was on Tuesday. It was phenomenal. We had some mic issues on my end for a little bit, but I mean, we sorted it out. So going forward, we're good. But it was really, really a good listen, and you really got some different insight into Boom, because he's done a lot of these interviews, but we try to ask different things, you know. So I think it was fun. This upcoming Tuesday, we have King David from Iron Lords podcast coming through, which is
Very
super
nice.
exciting. Absolutely. And we have a good amount of people booked out, so it's really a fun time, man. So definitely, if you guys come by, I see Yodani put the link in there for me. I appreciate that. Come by, subscribe. We have a lot of people that we're planning to do the guest show with, so it's pretty cool. Big one tomorrow. So you guys know we talked about like the 7-hour podcast. That's gone. Okay, so we're not doing the long ones like that anymore. We've broken them up. So now tomorrow night we're going to start a brand new show. It's called On Point Anime and Beyond, and it's going to be our anime, Marvel, TV talk, all that fun stuff. So we're putting that all in a show together. That'll be tomorrow night, 9:00 Eastern time, and then we're moving up the time for our general podcast, our gaming podcast, and that is going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So we have a lot of cool stuff. We also have one more show. It's an early show on Monday mornings, 9 a.m. It's just me and Doodle just talking some gaming and chilling. It's for an hour. It's a short show, but just kind of start the week off right. So definitely come by. Would really appreciate you. And yeah, man, again, guys, thank you so much. Love doing the cast with you guys, and all three of you. At some point, gotta get you on the show. We need you to swing by as guests.
Yeah, no question, brother. Absolutely. If you all have not done so, follow our brother on Twitter. His and Silent Cypher's social, as far as Twitter X, is in the description. And give them a follow, and also check their podcasts out. They run great shows, and have been doing their thing for a second now. So, and C Money, I've said it before. I appreciate how you do your family your family ties, if you will. So I think that's
for sure.
very unique. Absolutely.
It,
you got your wife, you got your son. I think that's really dope. So yeah, definitely keep doing your thing. And of course, we love having you here too. I mean, you've been on like almost like a third member now.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Man. Yeah, absolutely, man.
And Silent Cypher, brother, our Xbox International friend. Tell our folks here where they can find you and what will you be up to coming up this week. And of course, I'm I'm going to take a guess and hazard that you're going to be playing Starfield.
No, I actually, I feel like it's gotten to a point where it's going to be kind of more of like a 7 out of 10 at this point. So I'm kind of, I don't know. Title menu was bland. Feels like it was overrushed. But no, thank you so much for having me, Umbra and Daniel. It's great hanging out with you guys, and C Money. It's great to hang out with you again, brother. I'm sure we'll catch you around here very soon. It was a lot of fun this evening. I'm glad it worked out schedule-wise. I originally wasn't sure if I was going to be around, so I'm glad it worked out. But yeah, as far as where you can find me, obviously, like Umbra was saying, you can find me on Xbox International. That's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also find me on social media, TikTok, Twitter, X, etc. All those ones as Silent Cypher. I try and keep it pretty easy. As far as other stuff I've got going, I should be on Double Barrel Gaming tomorrow morning with Mr. Boomstick and friends. Be hanging out with them tomorrow morning. And then on Sunday, I'm actually going to be hanging out with my brother Retri on Gamers Council. Web Dave is out of town, I believe, and so he was looking for a co-host. So he and I are going to chop it up for a while.
Nice.
So
Very
should
nice.
be a good time. I'll be around enough that you'll probably get sick of my raspy old voice.
Well, I'm glad
But
you
yeah,
said
thank
that.
you
Is that
guys so
possible?
much.
I don't know if it's possible.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I
No.
mean, it means you almost pretty much admit defeat with the voice off. Just want to,
This week for sure. I feel like by,
Doing the
I feel like
towel
by
early.
the end of the weekend, man. By the end of the weekend, this voice is just going to be completely shot. So we'll see how it goes. I think I probably need a couple shots of whiskey going into the next couple shows, so I can clean the pipes a little bit.
Yeah, nice. Wait, and Danny, where will people
Yes,
find you, and what will you be up to coming up this week, and what will you be playing?
Well, I'll be playing Starfield. You can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee or at my personal YouTube channel of Daniel McGee, or here or on the Xbox Factor podcast every Tuesday morning with Umbra and C Money. So it's gonna be a busy time for me.
It's going to be a Starfield
Like the fix
week.
in the morning.
There you
Heck
go.
yeah.
Fix in the morning. Sounds like a radio station.
That's a
right?
jingle right there. bro.
Right. Dun 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 dun. Join in the fix. But yeah, myself, of course, you guys can find me on Twitter X, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And like Danny pointed out, Xbox Factor with our brother C Money and myself and Danny, and with Boom hosting. And here, of course, on the Fix on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. And tomorrow on the Xbox Infinite podcast at 8 o'clock Eastern with Risky, Jedi Knight Peter, and our newest member, That Blue Number. So, Holly. And a great addition to the show. And actually this Saturday, too, PTK Blam invited me to come to the shop with him and Pong, our brother Pong Soul. And how the heck? I always think of Felix the Cat. Instead of his actual name, Fuzzy Belvedere. So
Yeah.
Oh, what?
damn that cat.
That's like the-
Because when I see the cat, it takes me out of his name and makes me think of Felix. So, but
hilarious.
yeah, and so I'll be joining those. I told him though, I said, listen, because he was like, Umbra, brother, you want to join? I'm like, man, look, you interrupted my Starfield time. I said, I can give you a little short time. So I'm going to join them for about an hour. Much love to them, though, and much love to my brother PTK. It's nothing against them. It's just Starfield. It hit different. And I don't know if there's anything else I had to share, but yeah, that's really it. Just thank you all again in the chat. Yeah, exactly, Yodani, exactly. I want to thank her, thank Yodani. I want to thank Gray, and much love to shouting out love to our brother Shooter, and hoping he's doing well. And we will see you guys in the future, in the year 2000. And we're out of here. See you guys.
Definitely the past.
Yes.
See you guys.
Definitely the past.
Yes.
Definitely-